In the early 1950s, the BBC used to regularly broadcast a radio show about gardening, and it consisted of a reverend and a very posh lady. Now, in those days, the BBC was very upper class, and everyone spoke very posh. And what happened is something was said that had an unexpected response, because even though the BBC was very upper class, the majority of people listening in were very working class, and they could see the funny side of what was said. But I know this to be possibly true because I've heard it from 3 separate sources who actually heard it. So here we go. Now, prior to the show, the Reverend had impaled his finger on a rose thorn. And the first things that were said on the show was, the lady said, "Reverend, how's your prick?" To which the reply was, "Oh, it's still throbbing."
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Paul, but I can't hear them.
No, I can't hear them either.
That's because I muted my microphone and I forgot to take my microphone mute off. Oh dear,
I
what a
bet that
shame.
was the best bit of the show, Eric. Me and Paul were just sat here going, "Can you hear anything?" And I'm going, "Well, I can hear you, Paul." So the two Pauls were having a great time.
Well, I did that to check, see you know, if you're paying attention. You see, I wondered who's going to notice it. So,
Yeah.
he's just flown in on a wing and a prayer. We've got Survival Steve. Evening, Steve. Yes,
Can't
he's
hear him
miming
either.
tonight. No, can't I hear him? Your microphone's muted, mate.
Yep, still muted.
Yes, it's still muted. He's been watching too many of those foreign films where they delayed.
All right.
speech.
Well, what I'll do is I'll sign language. We'll have to lip read Survival Steve. So what he's saying is, "Oh, drat," but that's not the exact words that he used. "Oh, fidgety bother it."
This is like watching a Charlie Chan movie where the lips still move but the voice has stopped.
I think this has been really a wonderfully surreal beginning. It's very odd. It's incredibly strange.
Oh, I just want to say Soapbox is playing a double channel thing.
Oh, all right.
Just to chime in here.
Ah,
okay.
Right. Oh, and so is everything okay on Soapbox and your one, Holy Land? And we're also on YouTube, we're on Rumble, and we're on Telegram, and God knows where else as well. Now, has Steve fixed his sound yet? No.
That's answered that.
That's answered that.
That was, again, I think in layman's terms, that was no.
Yes. We could read his lips as saying, "Oh, fish fingers," can't we? You know.
Have you tried the old classic, Steve? Switch off, switch back on again.
Yes.
Works in every other industry.
Well, anyway, on with the show, because we hope he sorts his sound out. We're going to talk briefly about, as you've guessed by the title, about the Saturday extravaganza. Now, after Saturday, has the Prime Minister ran screaming from his home, getting the next plane out of this country, saying they're after me?
Are you stuck as well?
No. Have you noticed any massive differences, Paul? The two Pauls? Shall we say, what should we call you? Because we've got two Pauls in the audience.
I'm happy to go as Anorak. You know,
okay, Anorak. Okay, Anorak. So, any difference, Paul or Anorak?
Well, I saw him on the news this evening.
Oh.
I saw him on the news, but all he could talk about was that he didn't know that Peter Mandelson had been so involved with Boris Epstein or whatever his name is, because he's had to fire him. I mean, it's very difficult for me to watch the news if he's on, because you only need about 5 seconds of that ridiculous voice and you just sort of tune out, don't you? He's a ridiculous figure. He's absolutely ridiculous. I haven't heard any responses back from the thing at all. I think I've seen a few people with slightly puffy eyes, and apparently there were 25 arrests, which, looking at the numbers of people that were there, if that is true, so hopefully people will update us and might have better information than me. I don't sort of pay too much attention to it, frankly. Would be amazing, to be quite honest. You probably get more than 25 arrests just in London city centre from people going shopping, I would have thought. I mean, it didn't strike me as being very many, but, you know.
The criminals probably weren't able to actually do any crime because of all the people that were there.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely. Can't pick your pockets. You're so tightly packed like sardines. I can't actually pick your pockets. They're all crushed together. So,
got to pick a pocket or two, boy. But the thing is that
because the thing is, you also know, you could tell they wanted it to happen because there was no trains on strike, there was no tubes on strike, there was no bus drivers gone off for the day off. You know, can't go into work. Promoted across all the mainstream media and they wanted it to happen, unlike the freedom marches where there was the equivalent amount of people and not a word. And if people can, I'd like to think in the truther community people can see when there's a red herring and when there isn't.
It stinks. I could see a red herring straight away. And what I didn't like is there's tearing up. Did you see the haka with the tearing of the Palestinian flags? I can only stomach about a couple of seconds of watching that. I find it embarrassingly cringing. I find it very, very cringing. A bit like, you remember that show Crackerjack on television, where everybody's all false. So, hello, are you enjoying tonight? Yes, I am thoroughly enjoying tonight. And all that sort of stuff. I found it a bit, iffy. Excuse me, I'm trying to get rid of a blue spot. That's it, a blue spot around my nose, which is the light. Now, last night we had the sound of background. It sounded like a radio station coming in. And Sue Sparkle said, "Eric, did you find out what the noise and music was last night on the show?" My guess is I think the fella had the television on in the background, because when he leant back, you see the television on, and he had headphones on, and he said, "Oh, what's that noise? I can't hear it." So I think he couldn't hear it because he had the headphones on, but his speaker was picking it. His microphone was picking it up. That's my guess.
Talking of microphones, yours is now working, Steve. I think it is.
Oh,
hello, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you now.
We're just about to finish.
You've missed the best part of the show, Steve. It was great.
I know.
Last sort of 8.5 minutes. Been really good. Yeah.
And the F word hasn't been mentioned once.
No toilet humour yet. But don't you think that Steve looks like a World War II pilot? He really does look as if he's just landed his plane on a wing and a prayer.
No, he does not. They wouldn't allow beards back then. You can stop all that nonsense, Eric. He doesn't look anything like a World War II pilot.
Just missing the goggles.
Yeah.
You mean I look about 85-year-old?
This is only jealous.
I never said anything about that, but you saying it has revealed a great deal, Steve.
No.
Well,
Asperger's as fudge. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk.
No, carry on.
Just thanks. Notting Hill Carnival has around 500 arrests every year. Bloody hell, the old police must be chopping it up there like anything. But I'd like to sort of ask everybody. It says here, it's supposed to be taking Britain back yesterday. Okay, did it? I don't think it did. What do you think? Steve, what do you think it took Britain back? Back to where? I don't know.
Kindergarten?
Yeah, back to the Dark Ages. Absolute lunacy. If anyone thinks that made any difference whatsoever, oh dear me, we're in for trouble. The only thing I think it achieved was it allowed the government to get some valuable intelligence on just how backwards the entire country is in terms of achieving anything towards freedom. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. It's zilch. And what got
has
me...
Has there been an actual sort of numbers report? There's all sorts of dithering variations about the amount of people that turned up. Of course, the Guardian said it was 8 people or something like that. No, they were clearly underplaying the figures. I think they said about 100,000, but it looked several football stadiums worth, at least to me, from what I could see from the few bits of footage that came across. Any figure? It looked more like 500,000 to me. I thought about 500,000, but then I'm not world record holder at guessing approximate crowd sizes. I don't know if there's somebody who does that. It's very tricky to do, but it did appear to be quite a few. Let's put it that way.
I heard reports of 3 million. Seems exaggerated, but I don't know.
3 million would be a bit excessive. That's 1 in every 20 people in England. I think that's a bit much, actually.
Yeah,
I thought about 500,000. It was plenty. Yeah. I mean, the only good thing, there's got to be something good came out of it. I mean, just from a distance, in very general terms, it appears that one possible good thing that may have come out of it for a bit, it won't really matter, I suppose, because the news will just start twisting it back again, is the vast majority of people on the march, you've got to be basically insane to call them extreme far right wing. I mean, it's just, but then the press has become that. I mean, they're just normal people gently saying, look, we're English, we're a bit cross, which is actually not a bad sign. It was done as peaceably, I thought, as it could have been, unless there's reports I've not yet seen. So that, I thought didn't Musk turn up and say you've got to fight and all this kind of stuff? That seemed a bit sort of ridiculous. I don't disagree with him, but what does he mean by that? The battle's not being fought in the right place. But if you say, look, we're members of a big club, can you all just rock up so we can all see how many of us there are? You've got to say that's pretty impressive, actually. The idea that Tommy Trousers has got any role to play in leading it, of course, is an abomination of a thought. It's absolutely ridiculous. But so be it. I think that, all the actors have got their roles to play. Musk is definitely being rolled on as the beta from the wings or something. He sort of rocks up and says these things from the side. Most people appeared to me to be pretty decent, solid English types. So, at least they look around and go, blah, 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 blah. But then we mentioned, didn't we, that there were 3 COVID marches in 2021, was it, or something, which had huge numbers, which weren't covered. At least it was covered. I put GB News on, which is £80 million in debt. But of course, that's not stopping it continue to operating. So that's being allowed to carry on operating for all sorts of reasons. But they were covering it, I thought, in a reasonably even-handed way, considering the mainstream media. I'm not getting sucked in. I know what they're doing and everything. But it seemed really rather tame in comparison, I suppose, to what a lot of people may have anticipated. I don't really know. But the numbers... I'm just trying to find something positive in it. I'm going to broadly agree with everything that people say here. I think you've got to be skeptical about it. And we know it was enabled and allowed to happen. And it happened. And nobody got killed, as far as I'm aware. There was nothing really seriously.
I'm pleased that all right, you might get a few people fainting and always doing crowds. And that's what St. John's Ambulance are there for. And people overcome by emotions. That's always to be expected. But you're right, I don't think there's any casualties. And it was nice not to see the police coming in with their batons and things like that. And somebody told me the police were smiling as the people marching past. So
going back to old-fashioned policing. Doffing their hats to young maidens going, good morning, madam.
Yes, morning, evening all.
I think we're likely to win through politeness, an excessive outbreak of politeness, than we are through anything else, to be quite honest. Yeah, it might work. Charm.
But
what do you think? Sorry, come on, Paul.
I was just looking from a gematria side of things, our little friend Mr. Robinson. This March, his birthday is the 27th of November. Okay, so the March took place 75 days before his birthday, which Illuminati ritual equals 75. That's something to go by. So World Powers is 75. But more importantly, it was 10 weeks and 5 days for a 105, which links to Freemasonry. If that's
really
hint at.
Yes, I'm glad we kept a bit quiet about Freemasonry last night, because a guest we had on was a Freemason. Well, ex-Freemason, I think, last night, wasn't he? The chap talking about...
There's no such thing, mate. Once they're in for life, they're done for.
Well, it was about Tartaria, isn't it? I thought because I think you, Paul, thought it was about a red light district.
I thought it was about the red light district. I thought you were talking about the tar area.
Well, I thought it was about lavatories. I thought it was Tartaria. So,
I didn't catch it, by the way, but I know it ended early because I was going to listen to the last half hour and there wasn't one.
Yeah.
I thought,
no.
well, there's obviously a fight's broken out in the studio. Someone's gone off in a huff.
No, well, what happened is, I think, and I can't say for sure, but we kept getting this red sound of radio breaking in. That's the bloke leant back, or I guess leant back. Is his television on? So I think that might have been the situation.
Obviously, the pre-show training is required, I think, for the before he comes next time.
It'd be nice to be on next time, though, because it's quite interesting about Tartaria. He was sort of. It's What do you think about it, Steve? Tartaria, do you think it's red light district or do you think it was an actual place?
Yeah, it was the old world. I mean, can you hear me, by the way?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Brilliant. All right, thank you. Yeah, I thought... All right, brilliant. I thought the guy who was on last night was very intelligent and interesting. I quite enjoyed the conversation that you guys had, and the background entertainment was riveting as well.
And the troll.
Yeah.
Troll. I'm glad he's not in tonight. Bloody hell. I couldn't get rid of him. And I accidentally put up on the screen some of the foul stuff he was saying.
I think he could benefit from joining the Occult Academy and give himself a big wake-up call. And then he can stop trolling people because he'd become enlightened. And that's the big secret. If people become enlightened, they'll not need to go on silly marches to protest against the government. They'll not need the government. It's only, I hate to say it, but it's only dumbos who need the government. The government, the word itself means mind control. So if you need your mind controlled, you must be a dumbo. And I hate to say it, if anyone thinks the government are there for the good of the people, the benefit of the people, they clearly don't understand hybrid warfare. They clearly don't understand cognitive warfare. They clearly don't understand psychological warfare, information warfare, and they certainly don't understand globalization. Because this pantomime the other day with Mr. Tommy. No offense to the guy, I've never listened to a word he's ever had to say. I don't listen to any of his supporters simply because they're all trapped in the mid-region of the brain, which is known as the limbic system. They're all based in what's known as emotional intelligence. They'll never reach the higher confines of their minds as long as they follow Dumbo leaders like Tommy Robinson and everything he's got to stand up for. All he's doing is pumping a government narrative. It's known as polarizing dialectics. So to keep the people polarized and apart, and when they're split apart, they're always needing controlled by the government. It's a Hegelian dialect. It's divide and conquer, the oldest trick in the book. People need to realize this. They're getting played massively. 3 million people, if that's what turned out, or whatever it turned out the other day. Yeah, good for them with the patriotic sense of duty to and the allegiance towards the crown. I would actually wonder what any of them actually stand for, because when they say they stand for Great Britain or England, what is it you stand for? Do you stand for a landmass of soil which is owned by the king and presided over by a bunch of mind controlling death cult religious fanatics called the government? Is that what you stand for? Do you stand for the cross of England? Do you stand for international Zionism? What is it to stand for? Or are they all just plain dumb?
I think it should be for our ancestors, on behalf of our ancestors, because without our ancestors, we wouldn't be here. So I believe that we should respect our ancestors. Anybody else? Blimey, you did that without moving your lips. That's clever. And what do you think, Paul? Anorak? Do you think we are here?
Yeah, Paul, Mr. Anorak, if you want to speak.
Yeah, I think. What was the question again? I missed that bit. So I was.
Well, we're here to we should have respect for our ancestors, because without our ancestors, we wouldn't be here. So we should.
I agree with that. Although I guess on the back of the radio show last night, how far back do we actually go? Are we really of humans or people been around as long as we make it as we're told?
Well, Fomenko reckons that the carbon dating is up the spout is a Russian mathematician, one of the top ones in Russia. And you can see his videos on YouTube, but they've got Russian English subtitles underneath, so it's a little bit, you have to keep reading it. And he believes that I think the Egyptian pyramids were built in the 14th or 15th century, not that old.
Well, the thing is, if you look at the size of the buildings as well, I was down in London a few weeks ago, not Saturday just gone, three weekends ago, and I walked down through Hyde Park Corner. There's the marble arch thing in the middle of it, and I looked at that and I thought, well, there's no way human beings built that, because the human beings are like ants, and this thing was about 60 or 70 foot tall with big iron gates, and you think, well, they weren't built by us. They weren't built by humans at all. No chance. Or if they were,
I don't know about that. I think you're going to have to look in the history of it. I bet you can go find architectural drawings for it. What about you see, I know what you're saying, Paul, but I think we kind of denigrate ourselves as well. If you look at the cathedrals that were put up, they were put up by blokes with wooden scaffolding, and they built those things. But they took 200 years to build them.
Well, that's right.
We actually achieved some amazing stuff, but there's a blend of things. I mean, the Tartaria thing. I mean, even tapping back into that, or maybe just to address, what Steve was saying about what is it that we think we're preserving, or what is it that we want. I suppose you're going to get a slightly different answer from everybody that you ask. But for me personally, it's to do with restoring our nation, and that this is our home. And I accept that in the past, all sorts of terrible and horrible things have taken place in our home, and we've operated under all sorts of bogus ideas, and we've always been controlled by a government. But for me, it's about race, because the English are a race of people, as are the Scots and the Welsh and the people of Northern Ireland and Ireland, and it's about that. And I don't care where we go. It just happens to be, though, that we're fortunate, you could say, in that we actually do live in our ancient, ancestral, cultural, racial homelands. And it has to be about race. Race is very, very important.
And respect for other races as well. Because
the reason I exist as a white man is because my parents were both white, and the same for all you guys. There's nothing right or wrong about that, where it just is what it is. And I think it's a really good thing. Because it's the hand I got dealt, and I think left alone, something that has not occurred here for a long time. I think we're as fine a people as you're likely to find anywhere, and I'd like to see that back. I want to see British family life restored. I want to see some of these cultural things that people mock us for back. If they don't like them, don't stay. Go somewhere else. It's fine. I want fish and chip shops back. I want all these. You go, these are all tiny little things. They're not. The tiny little things are the glue that hold us together. They're almost like little signs of civilized living. And it's tricky, I think, to get civilized living rolling when you are being permanently bombarded by an invasive force. I mean, what's the aim of globalism? It's to destroy all races. It's absolutely to do that. And it just happens that we're at the top of the list, because I would suggest we are running on the fumes of Christendom. And I'm not talking about going to churches. I always have to put that in. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the ethical and moral heritage that we've got, and the principles that at times we've demonstrated really, really well, and we're not demonstrating them now because we're being interfered with. So I just want to see the return of all people back to their ancient cultural homelands, where they and we will be happier, where we'll
I'd like to chime in. I have something to mention about, I'm not into numerology or anything like that, but I find it very interesting, the whole Charlie Kirk assassination. And the name of the assassin was Tyler Robinson, which Tyler is the same amount of letters as Tommy. So I'm sure that the algorithm really, anybody searching for Tommy Robinson in the rally and migration would get kicked off into the Tyler Robinson direction instead. And I saw the
with
video.
a Y?
Yeah, with a Y. And
interesting, he has a value of 69, which equals false flag.
And I saw the video of him talking with Charlie Kirk. He had a megaphone, and he was confronting Charlie Kirk before this all happened, the person being accused of assassinating him. I just found it very interesting because they were also talking about mass migration, particularly here in America, the Mexican migration, or the migration coming from the direction of Mexico. But that would have kicked that. That would have, if anybody's searching the Tommy rally, it just totally overshadowed anything going on Saturday. And I think, Eric, I won the bet because nobody arrested Tommy Robinson. So, and that was when
you won the bet.
I won the bet. Yeah.
So you could have a one finger salute to any celebrity you want.
I'll think about it. I'll get back to you. Anyway, I'm going to mute.
But no, the thing is, are you sure that chap who assassinated that fella is not a patsy?
Well, no, I think he is. I think he definitely is. That's
we'll never know who it was. I think it's a bit like Lee Harvey Oswald.
And it'll really confuse matters because of the whole Tommy Robinson thing coinciding at the same time. Because anybody searching material, it's a way for the algorithm to mess up the search results. Because anybody searching for Tyler Robinson might get Tommy Robinson or vice versa.
Well.
It's just I just find that very odd.
That's life as we know it. As just said, his full name is Tyler James Robinson. How strange. And I believe you've got something to say, Steve. You've just put something in capitals, which means you have something to say. So far away, mate.
It wasn't so much I had something to say. I only put it in capitals because I've basically just cut and pasted from some of my presentation work.
Right.
Just to kind of pick up on I guess Paul's points from earlier. I mean, I've got absolutely nothing against people want to have their own sense of national identity. I have absolutely no problems with that. But what we have to realize now is we are not fighting for national identity or sort of heritage. This isn't what people are protesting. In fact, if they're protesting that, they've definitely fallen hook, line, and sinker to government-sponsored psyops. And this is what people need to. I mean, this is why people need to read first and foremost the book Fake Awake, because we mentioned a fair bit about psyops in there. I used to work in the military, and I had a very good understanding. That's the one. That's the big fella. Read that if you attended Tommy Robinson protests, or you still think protesting is going to do anything whatsoever apart from make you privy to government-led psyops, then you need to read that book. But the point is, if people are there protesting against the national heritage, protesting is never, ever going to change that. All it's doing is the government have give you, as an individual or as a group, permission to protest. So all you're going to do is go there, make some noise, wave a few banners, have a knees up with some of your muckers, and nothing will change. If anything changes, if anything changes, it'll be very, very small. They might say they'll write something into policy, and there'll be very, very little incremental changes as a result. Nothing is going to change formidably, simply because globalization is well underway. We've massively fallen for the globalization scam, which has been ongoing for longer than 5 years. This health emergency was just the icing on the cake, and millions and millions of people fell for it simply because they don't understand the notions of government, they don't understand psyops, they don't understand globalization. I did write a few things in bold there, simply because the motivations, and I'll just read out the motivations behind the current conditions, you could say, are simply to protect the ideological interests of the state to ensure the continuity of state power, also with control and finance. So government are never going to change that in that respect. We are always going to fall privy to their demands. We're always going to be under their authority until you lose the religion called government, which means mind control, until you stop wanting to be mind controlled as a human being, because that's all the government do. They mind control you into thinking that you need them because you're too immature to make up your own minds and live an autonomous life. Until people can get that into their skulls, they're always going to be led up the garden path by all of these scams. It's as simple as that.
Spot on. Yes. And I like
That's
what
true.
Warren Arthur said. Well, first of all, I think that's life, but not as we know it. That's life, rather. Protests are just honey traps. Yes. I mean, as I said, I'm being sarcastic. As the Prime Minister, he's going, and they were saying, "Oh, the Prime Minister has fled London." Bullshit. Bullshit. Utter bullshit. He's planning. I mean, that was well planned. I mean, if you or I want to get a television screen up at Trafalgar Square, and you notice similarities between the film Big Brother, 1984 Big Brother, and that television screen. I'm not making any suggestions, but that's why I put it in the advert for this show. One side you got 1984, George Orwell's 1984, and the other side you got Tommy Trousers, a big screen, talking to the people being switched on by him. Very frightening, very disturbing. And tell you what I've noticed. I saw one bloke. This was on another march, I hasten to add. Shout, freedom! And everybody else went, oh, freedom! And they all copied. So, I mean, if he broke wind loudly, they'd all sort of start kicking their legs out, go breaking wind with him or something like that. I mean, what is it about the crowd mentality? Does anybody understand why people have to follow like sheep?
Can I pick up on that? You mentioned the word freedom, and the entire freedom truth community bang on about it all the time.
Yeah.
Yet I actually don't think a single one of them knows what it actually means. Because if they wanted freedom, why do they still insist on having government control over the essence of their lives? If I've got to say this, I mean, I've been to protests. I don't mind them. I'm not knocking them. They're great for an ease up and a feel good factor, and meet up with your mates and discuss things. There is some benefits to it, but there's one benefit that's never going to happen. That's the government aren't going to back down and hand themselves over to the police and tell the citizens to crack on without their control and authority. But if we resist our abusers only in the way that they allow us to, we will be a slave forever. So if you want freedom, you need to stop being a slave. You need to stop believing in slavery, and you need to break free of authority. That's the only way you can be free. So if anyone says freedom and we are the 99%, well, if you want freedom, you have to be free from authority. If you're not, you're always going to be a slave. Therefore, you never, ever, and I'm talking about truth and principle rather than conspiracy garbage that the truth movement keep adhering to all the time. Truth and principle states under socio-psychology that if you want to be free, you have to be autonomous. That means you have to be free from authority. If you're not free from authority, that makes you a de facto slave. That's it. And people need to stop believing in nonsense. They need to start being more honest with themselves and come to this understanding. And if not, bang on about freedom all you like, and you're never, ever going to get it.
Well, that March estate, anybody, Paul, Anorak, Steve, what has changed? Nothing at all.
The only thing
I wasn't expecting anything to. Nothing has ever changed because of protests. Not in terms of affecting supposedly the target of the protests, which is what? So-called government behavior, right? We're unhappy. Okay, we've got that. Like I was saying, the only positive I could see in it is that you get to recognize that there's a lot of people who have a similar feeling. That's about as far as it goes. And in terms of constructive plans, no, not too much there at the moment. But that in itself, maybe I'm reading too much in it, is a slight encouragement. The numbers were considerable. Now, whether that actually makes any difference or not, we're about to find out. You could say, yeah, but 50 million people turned up, but because they're not actually doing the right things to change the situation, it doesn't matter. You could have 10 billion turn up. If no one's actually going to act on the things that are going to shift it, then it's not going to change. And the sorts of challenges that we have in front of us are complex and they're long-standing, and we've become accustomed, acclimatized to behavior patterns that we're not fully aware of. for example, and I know it's the old chestnut I always go back to, but the complete ease with which people interact with the banking system. They're not in a state of rage about it. It's difficult to maintain it as well. This is the thing. As individuals, I'm of the view that you need to be in small peer groups. It's the most beneficial thing that you can do. It doesn't need to be large, but there needs to be a few of you because your energy amplification is considerable. Of course, as soon as you get groups together, as we've talked about before, and government's really just a very exaggerated version of this, you get power plays. People will seek to be in charge, and it's a great challenge to not allow it to happen. Some people just happen to be, I know what we want in terms of how it ought to be, but there's very few examples in history where it's actually ever been like that. I'm not aware of any, because as a group creature, which we are, because we associate our survival with it, no matter what we want to say, it's just completely wired into us for understandable ancient reasons. Like, you get kicked out of the village, a bear's going to eat you, don't kick me out. So people end up sort of politicizing with one another and accommodating things that they don't want to accommodate, doing that terrible thing called compromising. And compromises really never work. The actual original conflict or discrepancy or different view never really goes away. But someone, it seems, has to basically give way. And it's this whole thing. The problem is that certain groups have got used to, over hundreds of years, being in charge. And it's the being in chargeness now, which is for them is what it's all about. It's not about whether they actually do any good or not. So we live in this incredibly sophisticated, deceptive communication space, which they've learned unconsciously as well, purely out of the desire to remain boss. I'm boss. I don't care how bad you think I am. I'm boss. And apart from which, I've got all these other guys that I pay off around me, and I've got a lot of shit on them. And if any of them step out of line, and they won't now because they know that I've got all this stuff on them, and that's how it's like mafia. It's very nice mafia. It's the nicest mafia you could get because nobody thinks it's the mafia. That's how powerful it is. But and as Steve says, it's got hold of everybody's minds. Yeah. As an individual, it's a great challenge. I mean, for me, I just think, like this space here where we're talking is vital for me. Things like this, moments like this are absolutely vital because I'm going to get up tomorrow morning. I've got another, hopefully, go to bed, wake up, get another day. Bingo. Thank you very much. What am I going to do with it? So the challenges are they're very, very, they're large. They're so complex, or appear to be complex, and yet we've also got to do our duty. So, like I've said here, I'm not into rights. I know Steve and I don't agree on this, but this is fine. But it's something about doing the duty, I feel, to your family. And you go, well, Dad's in charge, so he's the boss. So I've actually got to succumb to the authority of my dad. Yeah, you do, actually. You do for a while. You've got to do that. It's called learning and growing up. The problem with government is it's not a benign father. It's a tyrannical one. It's very bad. It masquerades as like a kind stepfather, but it's actually a liar, full of sophistication and all the quiet force that comes down on people's lives, like the control through bills. I don't mean government bills. I mean the bills that you have to pay, the local laws, council tax, all these tiny, oh, bloody hell, I've got to deal with that. I've got to deal with that. All of these things are basically, they're signs of your enslavement. Because decisions have been taken. This is the thing that's bugged me my entire life. It's like, oh, you're in this game and this is how you play it. I'm going, hang on, just a minute. Before we start playing, who wrote the rules? You didn't invite me to that meeting. I don't want to play. That's my sort of internal sort of thing. You set these rules up and I was never asked. So I'm not playing. And I think there's that part of it. So
never asked for government. I mean,
is the solution that we have to come up with a countervailing goal? I tend to think that it is, and yet that is fraught with problems as well. But history sort of shows this, that civilizations, if you go back to The Decline and Fall of the West by Spengler, he's the first guy that looked at civilizations from the biological parallel, i.e. like a human being. Is it anthropomorphic? That I forgot what word he uses. But it's as if, well, it starts off as a small tribe. You're a little kid, and then it gets stronger, and then it's in its youth, and it's really beginning to go, and then it really goes, and the whole thing expands. You can say, look at Rome or the British Empire or any of these big events, right, where people have expanded. It goes off, it takes other territory, and then it all goes back, and it seems to go through these cycles. Can they be broken? Maybe not. Maybe it's human nature, that, terribly unexamined thing, but it's always there, that keeps popping up and rearresting people's attention. I think if we can find ways of reducing their impact on your life personally, that's a start. And the one way that I do it is by being in conversations like this. You go, well, it's only for a few hours. I'm going, yeah, but it's better than nothing at all. I didn't used to have this 20 years ago. So this is good. This is a good thing. And to sort of build up the scale and the quality of these sorts of communications to hopefully draw more people in, and then look at how you act locally. But I don't know how you escape governance. Seriously, I don't. I don't have an issue with it, because prior to governments, what did we have? We had kings. Were they all bad? No. Were there bad ones? Absolutely. Yeah, there were. Did nearly all those kingships get overthrown by the power behind the throne? Yep, they did. They did. So what's the solution? Is everybody supposed to just go, I live alone in my cave, don't bother me, and now then you're completely free, but you're not in a community. And we want to be in communities because that's where the richness of life is. So this is the challenge. And I don't think there's sort of like one pat solution to it. I think it's more about direction. For me personally, it's like a journey, and it's the quality of the journey. And right now, the quality of the journey is shit compared to what it used to be like. It's not as good.
And I agree with you.
There's also things like, I know we talk about this quite a lot on here, about that our enemy, if you like, has had thousands and thousands and thousands of years to get to this point. We've had literally, for the most of us, it's been about the last 6 years to sort of, we're effectively trying to catch up into their system that they've had for thousands of years. And it's knowing how you actually deal with that and how you get past it, because we've said before, if we went into Parliament, it wouldn't matter how many millions of you there were, you get shot. At some point, you'd end up having to leave Parliament to go home, or to go to work, or to do this or to do that. At some point, the hold you may have over it would eventually come away from it, because we have our own lives away from this sort of thing, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but but the Walloping has come out with a cracker here, because apparently during the march, Starmer was at a football match, and he said here, Walloping, actually, I hear Starmer likes to go up the Arsenal with Lord Harry.
You brought all this on, Eric von Essex. You created this culture in these shows. It's terrible.
It's gone 43 minutes, though. That's pretty good going.
It's not bad, is it?
Well done, Hatchy. That is a good one, though. It's very good.
It's a classic, yeah. But I mean, let's face it. But apparently, he was at a football match. So I couldn't read this.
I think Paul's point there, what Paul was just saying as well, is really, if you look at the maturation of government systems, like if we go back into the 1600s, the guys that were in Parliament had proper work. They had to go most of them were farmers, because nearly everybody was involved with farming, because no farming, no food next week, no politics, no nothing if you're not eating. So there was always the demands of nature that were much more closely felt because of the lack of technology to deal with it from a distance. What we've got is an institutionalized professional political class that get paid money out of the taxpayer's pocket to come up with even greater sophisticated communication scams to maintain their position of getting paid for ruining things.
You're right.
They don't. It's a disease. It's definitely it's reached a disease. I mean, is there an argument to be made to say that under certain circumstances that some kind of governance is required? Is that always the case for human beings? Has it always been the case? It seems to me to have been that way. But I'm interested to hear what you've got to say.
I don't think so. I mean, for example, the title of this show was named after, I don't know if anybody is old enough to remember, the 1960s record by the 1910 fruit gun company called Simple Simon Says.
I saw that.
Simple Simon Says, And I've named it, I give it a similar title because Simple PSYOP says. Because Simple PSYOP says do this, and they do it. And all I believe it did, I think it was the Sadi people, the Mossy Sadi people, behind this, because ripping up flags on stage and doing a haka and things like that, it was all theatre, very much theatre. And to me, it was
toe-curlingly awful. You were right when you said it.
Maybe
it's awful. It's embarrassing. Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
Right.
But you see, if people were going along saying, right, okay, by this time next week, we're going to make sure that it's no violence or anything like that. We're going to make sure the Prime Minister is out. And we're also going to find out why nobody's doing anything about usury. We are going to do something about this. And we're also going to stop paying council tax. Whole country, stop now. I think something would happen. I think something would change very quickly. We're going to hold our taxes. Oh, bloody hell, there'd be a big change then, wouldn't there? But they won't do it because people are pissed their pants. That's why they pee their pants.
Hypothetical, right? Because they're fun sometimes.
Yeah.
Everybody around the microphone's here and everybody that's listening and all that. If we were, and a few others, all your mates and everything, we get a couple of thousand of us and we were to go to the Isle of Man, and we're the only people that go there, for example, right? Would we organise a government amongst ourselves to actually manage certain things for the healthy conduct of our lives? Would we do that? And if we didn't do that, what would we do? Would we all be okay, or what would we do?
Well, let's look at societies without leadership. Though let's look at some of the examples in history without leadership. Number one, the Boer War. The Boers did not have a leadership. They worked in groups of three. Separate threes,
but they had a leadership on the farms, didn't they? There would be really skilled, knowledgeable farmers.
Oh yes,
and there would be people that worked on the farm because he was 16 and didn't know about farming, and we've all been 16, for example.
They're all part of the family. They're all different family members.
But there's a natural hierarchy based on respect, I suppose, but honor amongst the family. I mean, okay, so we know that some families don't have a good time of it. But there seems to be a natural order that falls into play depending on what the task is at hand. Like if we had to build a bridge on the Isle of Man, for example, we say, look, we really could do with a bridge here. Any engineers? We got 5 of them. Fantastic. I think you're in charge. We'd put them in charge, wouldn't we? We wouldn't put a cobbler in charge. You go, look, I can make all the boots for all the workmen that are going to build a bridge. And there's a natural order of things based on people's skill sets, aptitudes, and their ability to vocalize them and let everybody else know that they can do that. They've got to sort of step forward and go, I'm Bob Smith. I've been an engineer for 25 years. I've built nothing but bridges. I think I'm your guy. Another guy steps forward and goes, no, I'm Tommy Taylor. I'm just as good as him. And we have to make a decision. And then governance or leadership, just like in a company, an organization, how's it going to work without that? My brain's stuck.
But what we got now, though, I mean, we look at the NHS, for example. A doctor can be crap in the NHS, absolutely useless, but still survive and still earn a very good wage because it's become like a huge dinosaur. But you go, for example, I go to Miles Fleetwood. Now, he is an acupuncturist. He is qualified as a doctor. He can be called Dr. Fleetwood. He knows his stuff. Now, if he didn't cure people, he'd be out of business. And he is a healer more than anything else, and he's bloody good at what he does. And I think we need more of that, where we have doctors who are good at what they do and they heal people, and they're rated on how they heal people. Now, any useless doctor can be in the NHS and just write out prescriptions, and as long as he's issuing prescriptions, he's fine.
Well, the thing is, though, with what you're saying there, Chris, it's a bit like, I'm going to come back onto Paul's comment in a sec, that with the doctors now, sometimes, and I don't use the doctors at all, but I know people who do, and they've gone down to their GP and said, I've got this wrong with me, and the doctor's gone on to Google and searched it. So, so technically, I could do that. You need some aspirin and this, there you go. But with regards to the, like we were saying about the bridges and all this sort of stuff, I suppose if you've got a company you'll have suppliers into your company. So they might supply your tea, your coffee, your boots, your bridges, and all the rest of it. So in that respect, you'd all be equal. You'd all be on the same playing.
I don't think you would,
on
Paul. Actually, I don't think you would, and I don't think there's anything right or wrong about that. Like if we said, look, we need an Isle of Wight defense league, Steve gets the job, right? Out of us lot here, I'm not going to look to you, Eric, or you, Paul, for that. If it's transport systems, I might go, Paul, what have you got in mind? We could do with what we're going to do about the road thing. You're in charge, you're boss. You get to tell me what to do in relation to that thing. And I say, I'll do my duty by this because it's for the good of the whole. I know this is all a bit sort of
but that's without a structure. I mean, DJ B2 has said the local council will put the village idiot in charge, which is true. They would.
Yeah. We've got this maturation of control systems that exist for their own sake. They don't actually achieve what they're supposed to do. They just retain their position, absorbing the wealth of everybody around them we have no sense of satisfaction about what they do. We can't see it. It's just all blather and nonsense. We're in this huge sort of massively rapid communication space. And what it's done, I think, in part, is it's amplified the worst behavioral traits of the people that seek power. You know, that old adage, I read Tolkien said it as well. I think a lot of people said it, no man is fit to lead other men, least of all those that seek the position, which is true. But to lead them to do what? So it all depends on the circumstances, and life physically changes. Suppose suddenly there's all sorts of, we find out that there's rainfall's increasing on the Isle of Man in this mythical situation. And somebody knows about building dams. We go, well, if we don't actually work with this guy and do what he says, you can kiss everything else goodbye because we're all going to be under 15 feet of water. So what do you want me to do? You're in charge. You better tell me it naturally occurs. But what I think, this is why tribes had to defend themselves. We can all argue and say warfare is bad. I agree with you. It's bad. But I'm hard pressed to find a period in history where it wasn't occurring. Because
but it's the best man got in. But what we've got now is it's not the best man that gets in. Because what we could do in history,
what I'm saying, Eric, is what would we do? I agree with you. You're absolutely right. It's that if we're in that situation, it's easy. I'm criticizing myself. It's easy to criticize from a distance, and I do, and we all do, and we should, because it keeps your brain sharp. So there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're faced with it from scratch, how do you deal with it without coming up with structures of command and instruction to get tasks done? Because we operate really well as a tribe, as a team, when we're not interfered with. All of our communication structures have got a virus in them. They're called local councils or government. These things are in the way of clean production of good stuff. Like we all know that if you actually put farmers in charging of the entire farm output of these islands, the quality of the food and the amount of it would go through the roof.
I've got a question.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
This is probably more aimed at Paul, because I know Paul said he doesn't understand or doesn't believe in rights. So I would say, and this is no disrespect, Paul.
No, I'm interested, Steve. I like discussing it. It's great.
Well, can I ask you, what do you know about the occult? Just in general, what do you know of the occult?
Well, what do you mean by the occult? Because it's
so. If I was to describe that, the occult just means hidden knowledge, and it relates to the fundamental connection between the human mind and the external world, i.e., the universe and the mind.
I know quite a bit about it.
All right, brilliant. So the reason why we are enslaved, and the reason why there's tyranny and violence and disharmony in the world, chaos. Let's just say chaos theory, chaos sorcery, is simply because we do not participate and understand objective morality, we do not understand rights, and we do not understand a principle in the occult, a body of science relating to the spiritual laws of nature and how it directly influences and shapes the world around us, the fabric of mind that creates it. We do not understand it, we do not apply it, we do not apply natural law and objective morality. Therefore, the world around us is chaotic. If we understood any of these principles, so if I was to say, if you don't understand a right, therefore you cannot enact rights into the world because you don't. And this isn't a disparaging remark, it's just in general. If we do not understand a principle, i.e. the first thing that establishes some sort of semblance of order to any sort of a substance, if we don't understand a principle, we can't apply that principle in full, in reality, in the world. So a right is a principle. And I mean, I put it in the chat on just a few minutes ago. A right. We need to establish what a right is. A right is any action that's taken in the world that does not impart a measure of harm upon another living being. So therefore, we can do practically anything at all without anybody interfering with that action. It's known as will. In the occult world, and I could probably get to this at a later time, in the occult world, will and care are the two fundamental principles of how the universe functions. It's spoken about in all the religions. Satanism, for example, Satanism is a religion, and I'm not advocating for it, I'm just simply stating it as it is, simply because the majority of people alive today on Earth are practicing de facto Satanists, simply because they don't understand objective morality, they don't understand rights, and they don't understand natural law. And I advocate massively for natural law. It is the only solution to the problems we have in the world today. I'm going to mention two people. Now, I could go on all day about this, but it's probably best to do research in your own time. This is, and I'm just addressing people, anybody here, not anybody in particular. A guy called Mark Passio, who describes natural law. He's the fundamentally best teacher of natural law in the entire universe alive today. The other guy to look out for is a guy called Larkin Rose. So all the problems that we're discussing now have been spoken about for generations, hundreds, if not thousands of years. All the ancient philosophers knew this. All the wise men in history knew this. All the practicing occultists knew this since the beginning of time. What we're doing is trying to reinvent the world, reinvent the wheel under things that we do not understand, simply because we have a very fractured sense of understanding of how the world and the governing dynamics of the universe functions, simply because we don't apply principle and truth into the equation. When we do, all the answers will be revealed. I know the answers. I could tell you in 5 minutes. In fact, I'll tell you it now. The principle, the way out of the solution, the overarching solution to all the world problems is understanding principles of objective morality and applying natural law. That's it. The two principles of natural law are do no harm and take no shit. That's it. So if you can do no harm, you are demonstrating and enacting your right and your will into the world without impacting upon anybody else. Nobody gets harmed in the process. Therefore, you don't need anybody to step in the way like a middleman called the government to tell you how to live your life. You don't need law and order because you've already got law and order established because you're doing no harm. We are slaves to a system that enable us, or that fracture our understanding of the governing dynamics in order to make us cause chaos in the world. It's called order out of chaos. When we create chaos, there is a faction who establish order, and that's known as the government. They are mind controllers because they keep us in a state of chaos in order to become disproportionately powerful over and above us. The sooner people understand this and start researching and understand how the occult works, then that is the only, and I'm saying this now, that is 100% the only thing that will ever change the dynamics to our current situation.
Well, my view is that people are conditioned from youth to follow the leader, the wolf pack. And when you think about it, I don't think the pharaohs ever went away. I think they reinvented themselves, because the pharaohs, who were ruled by somebody else, had a death cult. And it's always the attitude of the elite is, well, do well because you're going to go on to something better. So people were slaves to the system because they thought they were going on to something better. Well, how do they know? They don't know. And this is still carrying on today. Oh, we look forward to something better, the change and things like that. But what I was going to say is look at the Yellow Vests, how successful they were. Didn't have a leader. No leader at all.
But we don't hear about them now, do we? I mean,
well, they were taken over.
I don't disagree with anything you've said, Steve. I'm reminded of that old adage, though. That saying, if you want to, someone's asking for directions, and they say, "Oh, well, if you want to get there, you don't want to start from here," because we are where we are. We're in we've received all of the history into our bones. All the mistakes and errors and the good stuff, and there is some good stuff that our forefathers have done, and we're at this point now. The fundamentals has never really changed, though. I agree. Everything about natural, whatever words we use to describe it, we're talking about, I think, bringing more light and good into the world. There are principles by which you do that. I mean, the occult, and someone wrote, I think Steve Truthsick, it scares people off, that word. It does. Ooh, it simply means hidden. And to that degree, I am permanently staring into hidden stuff. All I can say is up to this point, there's always new things being revealed to me, which I wasn't aware of 25 years ago or 35 or whenever it was. And it's a bit like, bloody hell, if I'd have only known that when I was 16, but I didn't. And I'll probably be able to look back on me now, if I'm still kicking around another 10 years or whatever, and go, oh, if you'd only known that. But it's the striving for removing the veil that's part of it. And I think it's an inherent part. I hate to argue for evil, but I just think it's an inherent, unavoidable part of what occurs down here, almost as if it's designed to be a very stern teacher when required.
What we've got to realize,
yeah.
I was going to say, what we've got to realize, Paul, is the universe, when you understand it through occult study, and it's discoverable because it's a science and it's based on metaphysics, it's based on spiritual matters, it's based on the spiritual and physical laws of nature, and like I said, how the human mind shapes reality, how reality functions under its scientific processes, not just its material scientific processes, but its spiritual scientific processes, the stuff that they don't tell you, the stuff that they hide, so they can keep dominion over you. Because if we don't understand things, we are at a power difference between a governing body of trillionaires who understand it all but refuse to tell us or deny, hassle, or ridicule it. So when we understand these things, we can discover how the universe functions and how our part, how we can play our part in it more successfully. And when we realize that the universe is actually a judgment machine, the universe works on the principle of morality, but because we are kept in a disorderly state of immorality, because this has to be brainwashed into us. That's why the word government means mind control. We've got to mind control us to lose our inherent ability to impart goodness into the world. This is why I left as a soldier. When I realized how the universe functioned through studying the occult, I walked out the door, served notice on my commanding officer. I served legal notice on the Ministry of Defence. I spoke to defence ministers and told them exactly what I thought of them. I told them exactly the state of the nation and how they were all criminals. Every last one of them are all criminals, left with nothing. Why? Because I understood how the universe works in a better detail, and I did not want to be in their beast system whatsoever, and I left with nothing. When people understand how it works to a deeper level, they will do exactly the same as me. And I'm talking about every single soldier, politician, and police officer on the face of the earth. If they understood the occult to the level I did, they would not spend 1 second in their job. I guarantee it, because the fundamental law of the universe is based around morality. And when we impart harm into the world, all we do is harm ourselves. People need to come to that appreciation. And when they shun the occult because they think it means evil, all they're doing is they're giving themselves further and further complications, leading to tyranny in the world. If we don't want tyranny, we don't want to be enslaved, the occult is the only solution. It's called natural law.
So, Steve, how would we go about bringing an ever-growing number of students into a space where they can learn this stuff? And how young do they need to be to get started? What do you think?
This should be taught to them as at the earliest age, but the way to teach it to other people is every man, woman and child alive needs to understand things for themselves. I could give you loads of answers. My channel provides loads of answers, but I'm not the only person on earth teaching this stuff. This stuff's been around forever. It's called alchemy. Anyone can look at this.
Yep.
But the thing is,
well, there's a very interesting thing, with the formation of the Royal Society over here in 1700 odd, whenever it was. I can't remember how many guys signed up for it. It's about 50 or something like that. And they formed the Royal Society. And from that, you get all the structured organization of science, chemistry, physics, mathematics, engineering, all these things came out of the Royal Society. And they did, telescope building with what's his name and all this kind of stuff. What's not known, or what's not particularly well known, is every single one of them the day before were alchemists. And in their meetings, they said, the other path is to be denied the public. We're going to focus purely on the sort of logic centers. We're not going to deal with the metaphysical. We're not going to deal with the other world that they're a part of. We're going to omit that. Newton was an alchemist. All of them were.
Yeah.
All those guys. And in some way, this might explain their particular type of genius, because there were a small number, but of extraordinarily intellectually brilliant people that came around, not just in England, but in Germany and all over the place at this period in history. And yet something has gone weirdly wrong. It's like it was the beginning of a mechanized society and the diminution of the individual within the face of it. The idea, though, of a little teaching school for people is appealing to me, simply because I think, I include myself in all of these things, is that you can, I read a lot and all that kind of stuff. And maybe I've read a lot of the wrong books. I go, I probably shouldn't have read that one. This was a lot better. And you're continually upgrading and revising. It's a permanent state of being a historical revisionist, even with yourself. Sort of revising your understanding. I wasn't seeing that quite right, actually. Now I think I'm seeing it a little bit better. It's coming more into focus as you tunnel into these things. But some structured learning path, it seems to me, what's that thing? Give me a child by the age of 5 and he's mine for life or something. Well, we have to find a way then of getting through to younger people, because when you look, say, in the here and now, at the quality of these individuals that are woke, for example, and you think, and I don't like to think about this, that many of those are supposedly going to occupy the middle management positions in the management of this nation in the years to come, we are absolutely stuffed. We're dealing with people that can't work anything out and operate on a purely emotional basis and have not got any sort of what we used to call common sense. It seems to have gone. Everything's ideological and it's gone a bit haywire. So finding ways, given that that's the path, and I'm broadly speaking, I agree with you, it's definitely a key part of the whole thing, then do we not have to build structures to actually amplify that, so that these messages, these teachings, these understandings can be ramped up and get out to ever-increasing numbers with ever-increasing speed?
Yeah, I agree with you. What's not going to happen, though, is they're not going to start teaching this at school. They're not going to bring it into the curriculum at university. Essentially, anybody in the freedom movement, and I would appeal to anybody who's a truther here, listening in and beyond, anybody on YouTube, the truth movement lacks direction. And I'm going to put this into military terms, because this is what I used to do. I was a military commander at a high level, and I understand how war works, which is what we're at. More specifically, we're in a cognitive war, which is a war of the mind, in which disinformation and psychology is one of the major features of it. We've been in this cognitive war for a very long period of time. This is a war crime, incidentally. This is against the Geneva Convention and the Nuremberg Principles. This is why everybody who's serving in the military, everybody in the Ministry of Defense is a war criminal. This is why I've served notice on them, because they're war criminals. This is why I'll tell 80,000 people in the army they are war criminals because they're in breach of the Nuremberg principles. But regardless of that, principles of war, and I've mentioned the word principle, it means first things, i.e. what do you do first? A principle, the principles of war, the first principle of war is selection and maintenance of the aim. Now, the truth is, throughout the whole truth community, we'll talk about freedom. Now, I'm going to say that that should be our goal. Our aim should be freedom. Freedom is a state of autonomy, i.e. you don't have an external authority directing your will, telling us what to do. So that means if we want to be free, we cannot also be free and be part of a scheme that has government authority over us. It's impossible. Freedom doesn't exist in the government. We are always going to be enslaved. Enslavement means having somebody else directing your actions. So government direct our actions, therefore we are enslaved. We need to come to terms with that and realize that we are enslaved as regular citizens going about our business in the Western world, slaves. If we don't want to be slaves, we need to get rid of government. But also on top of that, we need to understand some of these dynamics by understanding the hidden natures of reality through the occult, which explains all of this in detail. I could explain it all in detail, but I'd hog your show and people get cheesed off. So I'll not. But what I will do is I will refer people to the Occult Academy that me and Nathan run, because we put loads of information on there. We've written about in the Fake Awake book. But also there's plenty of other experts who are on the internet and have been preaching this stuff for decades. Mark Passio, Larkin Rose, two of the best teachers on the planet, will tell you all about this. They'll tell you all about how government is a complete illusion, because I would say that as well. The government is an illusion. It does not exist. It only exists here. I don't operate with government whatsoever, even though I used to work for them as an assassin for them. So I was the biggest Dumbo on the face of the earth. I mean, I'll call out truthers as being dumb, but I was the biggest Dumbo on the planet because I used to go and work for them as a blinking maniac without even giving a toss about their political systems. I didn't know that government meant mind control, and I didn't know that parliament meant to speak lies, but I do now. And that fact alone should have the entire truth movement thinking, oh, wait a minute, parliament means speak lies, government means mind control. I'm not sure if I'm happy paying taxes to these idiots. So I don't pay tax at all. I don't have any dealings with the tax system. I don't have any dealing with government. I don't watch the news. I don't have anything to do with the cops because they're all criminals themselves who are under Freemasonic control. Why does anybody answer to these criminals? All of them criminals, police, government, military, criminals. When we need to understand that at a deep level to realize that we have got our hearts and our minds set on the wrong system. It's the beast system. We need to come out of it. But and I know I'm banging on quite a lot here. There's two overarching principles that we really need to understand here. And this is what's been hidden from us for generations of time. One is the principle of do no harm, the non-aggression principle, and the other one is the self-defense principle. These are known as will and care. When we can harmonize those two fundamental principles, we become what's known as enlightened. Enlightenment is a state of freedom. It's freedom here. And when freedom occurs there, that affects the outer universe, i.e. as above, so below, the law of cause and effect, natural law, that becomes the unifying principle of how we govern ourselves, self-govern ourselves, peaceful coexistence without the need for an external body of weirdos who call themselves mind controllers.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. And Dennis says, where is it now? Citizens means slave, which is why a passport has British citizen, i.e., British slave. And Warren has said he would make a good captain, but not a sergeant or a field marshal. Why not? You're the top rank in Fockham Army, aren't you?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you're head of defence, aren't you?
Well, I done all right when I was in the army, but I saw the light. Do you know what you mentioned? If we had an island, I would be the head of defence. No, I wouldn't. I would immediately, if I had any power whatsoever, I would immediately step down from it, because all forms of power is a form of coercion and duress, which is a form of harm, and that goes against that goes in opposition to natural law, the law of do no harm, non-aggression principle, do no harm. If you are applying coercive duress or power over another, then you are in opposition to that principle. It's as simple as that. So therefore, nobody can have any power whatsoever over another man.
Well, look at the Victorian idea.
What do we do? Sorry to sort of throw a spanner in the works there. I mean, everything, yeah, fine, great. But the situation that we're actually in, the one outside my front door and yours and everybody else's, is that there are creatures on the prowl in government and elsewhere that are highly skilled at pulling forces to themselves in the dark, as it were, through their control of finance and legislation, all these other things. So on our island, what if there was a shitbag who was angling to do that anyway, and you were the only person that could detect it? What I'm saying is that these... Yeah, sorry.
I would apply the self-defense principle. And if that meant using lethal force, then so be it. If somebody's doing you harm, you, under the natural law principle, the self-defense principle, if it comes to lethal force, then so be it. I mean, I would obviously...
Right to bear arms.
Yeah, I would obviously escalate that from having a quiet word. Here, mate, could you stop your BS, mate, before I thump you in between the eyes. If not, well, sorry, mate, you're going to get twatted. And if he still continues, well, he's going to get a right swift, quick kick to the ball sack.
I mean, wouldn't it be the case that if the vast majority of people on this island in this scenario were clued up and were living in line with no government in their head, in a condition of freedom, then the frequency with which shitbags would pop up would be vastly reduced and should be much more easy to identify and rapidly deal with. Is because, there's huge numbers of us are in a state of being hypnotized and working like mad to remove as many layers of the hypnotism as we possibly can, but they still exist. It's like this momentum of this death train, and you've got to get off it. It's the practical challenges that I'm interested in, like in the here and now, what to do tomorrow to go in that right direction. So, I'm clear with the aim. I'm broadly in agreement with you, Steve, about all of those things. I think they're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. It's how to achieve it. I'm interested in what are the steps to achieve it. And I'm including in my thinking that there will be unpleasant situations along the way. There might not be, but I have to take them into account, because I would be naive to not assume that, given the track record of human behavior. So there are going to be individuals that will step in, as we know. Someone actually put a comment in as well about many teachers are female because they're gifted or they have a quality of psychological manipulation. It's one way of putting it. I mean, I think that's true, and it's not even a derogatory statement. I think it's because being physically less powerful than men, women have developed a much more sophisticated way of dealing with the enraged individual, possibly their husband or whatever, to be able to survive situations like that when things have gone very, very bad. So it's a completely it's built up over thousands of years, particularly if, pregnant women with young children need defenders around them, or used to, because of the shitbags down the road turning up who couldn't give a flying monkeys about natural law or anything like that. They just want to take your stuff. And we've still got a lot of people around that want to just take your stuff. I mean, many of them are in government. They've just got a very sophisticated way of taking your stuff whilst making you believe that you've never had it better. And in some regards, we have. Apparently, we're living longer than we used to, but the quality of life appears to be more arduous, which is possibly a good sign, because I think it's indicative of people actually seeing more with each passing day. Not seeing everything, but seeing more and being and going, this isn't right. And more people in this isn't right, this isn't right. And so I know I'm spinning it a bit, but at least that huge number of people turning up, one thing it said is, this isn't right. We can't tell you exactly what we do want, but we don't. What we're getting is not what isn't it. What you actually get, what you're doing here is not it. It's running. I can't even iterate it to you. I'm not skilled enough linguistic or whatever they're saying to themselves. I can't actually tell you that. And yeah, I am a bit of a dimbo, but I don't want to be a dimbo. So there's an intention to move in the right direction. So, I am putting a positive spin on it because sometimes I need to for myself.
Let's look at nature. You look at wolves. Now, wolves, when they're going anywhere, the weakest and the most elderly and the frail, they will be at the front of the line of wolves. So they lead. And then there's the pregnant wolves, there's the females and the young. And then right at the back, there is the fittest. And at the sides, there are fittest to protect the wolf pack. So that is an intelligent way of going about things. They're all looking out for each other. They're all helping each other. But it's all voluntary because, years gone by, if somebody fell out with a village, they would best be cast out of the village and they wouldn't see them again. That's it. And as someone else said in chat, that the best thing, if you get an arsehole, is just, that's it. We don't want to know them. Out they go. And as I've often said, people like the Blairs of this world, it's wrong to be cruel. I do not believe in capital punishment at all. But put them on an island, which has got all the infrastructure on, roads, lighting, and whatsoever. But
not on the Isle of Wight, though, Eric, where we are.
Not the Isle of Wight. No, we're on the Isle of Wight, so they'll be somewhere else. So they'll probably be up in the Orkneys somewhere, some shithole where we don't.
Could it not be somewhere like Fiji or something like that, where there's quite a bit of water between them and us?
You wouldn't want to visit them on the Fijians. It's not right, is it? I mean,
no.
I think you've got to take care of your own trouble. You've got to find a way. You can't go and dump them on some other poor people. That would be wrong.
What about Canvey? Yeah, I mean, you could pay the people to move out Canvey Island, pay them something like 50 quid because that's what their property is worth. And so, move them out to Canvey Island. Because did you hear about the Essex? This is a bit disgusting, this joke. No, I can't say it. Sorry, no, I can't say it. This is too foul. That's for
after the watershed, that one, Eric. That's after 11 o'clock, that.
I think it'll have to be after 12 o'clock.
All right.
I'm just trying to think how I can actually... No, I can't make him... perhaps it's not too trap row. This girl asked her boyfriend to kiss her somewhere warm and smelly, so he took her to Canvey Island. Sorry.
Would you like a breakdown of what's likely to occur next, given the fact that we're still praying to the will of the government? So the government are now operating as in terms of globalization, which we're probably all well aware of, and they're doing things that you could, that's tantamount to totalitarianism. So some of the things that they'll be doing is behind the scenes. It will be things like, covert actions. And I'm not giving any game away here. This is local. This is open source information, just in case anyone thinks I'm giving away anything I shouldn't be. So here's how it works. Lethal action. So assassination and lethal force. You ever seen any of that in the last few days against things like political leaders or important figures? Anybody who threatens...
Yeah, tricky that one, Steve.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm not saying what's happened over the last few days has been a particular group or particular meaning behind it, but what I'm saying is a general understanding of the dynamics of how cognitive warfare, of hybrid warfare works. So lethal action, so political figures, etc. Paramilitary action even, which is about training other people, you could say, or surrogate forces to carry out policy objectives. Political or economic action is another thing to be aware of. So these are the things that are likely to happen in our world, because this is how, when states go rogue and the venture into totalitarianism, this is what happens. So disruption and interference to things like crops, elections, or just shenanigans involved with other political groups. Propaganda, that's one of the main things. Propaganda and disinformation. If I'd imagine every single person in the truth movement understands propaganda and disinformation has been paramount certainly the last 5 years. Without a shadow of a doubt, we're being lied to on a monumental scale. That alone, I mean, that is what, if I was to say there was 7 principles of harm that can be generated under natural law, and one of them is essentially lying or deceit. Coercion, deceit, lying, that's what the government are doing. When you mind control somebody and distribute propaganda and disinformation, that is lies. That's a fundamental wrongdoing under natural law. If anyone thinks that that's a fair aspect to government, that we should just tolerate being lied to on a monumental scale, then please vote away and by all means vote for whichever lunatic you want in the asylum of the of Parliament, if that is a good idea. But this is the kind of things we've got to look forward to, because we're so encapsulated in our satanic death cult called government.
Yeah, you're right. It's spot on. Now, I'd say that. Hang on, I've lost myself. Where am I? Let's get back again. I'd say Alice Gorgeous has said that she's had PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, before 220. Sorry to hear that, Alice. And since then, I've been in fight or flight. It's state-sponsored torture. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Been there, seen it, got the T-shirt, and try actually looking at if I'm not a doctor, I'm not qualified. If you haven't got diabetes, try looking at a keto diet. That can help with post-traumatic stress disorder. But I stress, if you've got diabetes, it will kill you. So you've got not to be a diabetic to go onto it, but just check it out. Just a little tip there. Okay, I'm going slightly off there. Now,
but to some degree, Eric, you were talking about people being in shock, which comes probably in all sorts of levels. And PTSD is a kind of form of that, is it not? Or as a variant, or it's yes. Just a description of it.
It's like a gramophone record that keeps replaying the same thing over and over and over again.
That's and I think you could, it's not difficult to take that jump and see that the communications, so-called, that come from the woke, I'm just using them as a thing, are indicative of that. I mean, there's something... certainly the event on Thursday, the things that have happened after it, of course, I realize, in the end, I'm just going to stop and go, oh, good grief, because there's counteracting stories coming out every 8 hours. No, it wasn't that. It was this. And it's just like 9/11. Everybody gets drawn into it. But the fundamentals are, we're being played. How? Does it really matter? You just know that there's something insincere and it's all manhandled in a particular way, and it's not for our benefit. I mean, the reactions of some of them, if true, and I think I've seen a few of them, that they were celebrating his death, given that he's dead, right? And there's now dispute over that. And the thing is, how would you go about proving it? We will not know, because they've got the ability to disguise and hide everything. They've got tremendous amount of veils to actually throw over things, and they all seem to be able to bullshit all at the same time. It's difficult to know. I mean, some of them, I think, in politics are actually just plain stupid, but they're of a very base nature. They're not as bright as they have projected themselves to be at us, and that many people buy into. Oh, they really know what they're doing. Well, they do actually, but it's not what they say they're going to do. It's for something else, and you have, so it's an ongoing challenge to stay sort of alert while you look at it. It wears you out as well. They've got so much more communications firepower. I don't think it's healthy to linger around in these spaces for too long. Plenty of walking and sunshine really does work to try and get some space and to keep your head clear. And, in spite of all of these things, like I had my usual walk along the beach tonight before the show, got back in. Of course, the sun's setting a little bit earlier. I can't believe it's going to be autumn officially within a few days. I mean, where's the time gone? But it was fantastic. Now, I'm just sharing a positive. It was brilliant down at the beach this evening as I'm walking down, because the sun was going down, so it was still lit up. Massive wind, huge waves. There must have been about 60 windsurfers out there just bombing around, some of them going to huge heights. Yeah, they've got these wind sails. I mean, there was one guy who must have been about 80 feet in the air, absolutely massive, just, I thought, are you going to come down? So, and it's exhilarating, and I'm only dropping that in, that there's still beautiful, wonderful things. And you must, I feel, take time out to remind yourself of that, because it's a sign. It's encouraging. There is, there is beautiful in this world, and it's worth fighting for, or it's worth defending, depending on which word you want to use. And it absolutely is. So all this effort is not for nothing. It's all for something, and it's the right sort of effort that we're making, I think.
And Perceive and Truth Seekers said, now this is interesting. A load of politicians died in Germany. Yes, unusual amount of rather right-wing politicians croaked it.
Weren't they all from the same party?
Yeah, yes. AFD, 7 of them.
7
within a 14-day period. The chances being 1 in 9 billion of that happening or something. Yeah.
Strange.
Well, it's just an unfortunate series of coincidences, everybody.
Oh, nothing to see here, folks. Move along, yes. And, yes, very interesting. And then we got society as a whole. Oh, yes, Steve's one. Has lost its ability to exercise its own conscience. We are victims of mind control from a condition of fear known as duress. And fear and shock brings people back to their childhood state. Severe shock does. You look at people in shock, they go back to their childhood state.
And don't you think the left are kind of in a childish state?
Yes, and that's also partly due to their diet, because I'm going to upset a lot of vegans now. I know some vegetarians, very nice people. I used to be a vegetarian. You're a vegetarian, Steve. I'm not talking about vegetarians. I'm talking about vegans, okay? Very different. And according to, I think her name is Dr. something. I can't remember her name. But anyway, she believes that the vegan diet makes people almost cannibal in the end, because you've got to have the correct level of proteins, etc., which they don't get. And you notice they're walking skeletons, and they're angry, and it causes extreme anger. And again, I'm not talking about vegetarians. I'm talking about vegans, which is very, very different. You're not a vegan, mate, are you? Are you?
Me?
Yeah.
No. No, I'm a veggie.
That's the thing. There's a very, very different. So I'm not getting at vegetarians, but vegan diet. I tried a vegan diet once, and I didn't have any energy. I just lost it. I'm not a vegetarian anymore. But the thing is what suits the individual. Because we're all different. We come from different food groups, and that's it. But I tell you one good thing about vegetables: they cleanse the inside of your intestines. Vegetables, and I'm going to have on a quick plug now on I'm just looking this up now, in October. And I did say this is strictly between us, okay? Nobody else listening. It's Dr. Mayhill is coming on the 27th of October, and she was the doctor that was struck off for prescribing natural medicines to people. Very interesting. You can see her on YouTube, and she's coming on the show on Monday. So not Monday, the 27th of October. So make a note in your diaries, But sorry, back to what we're talking about. So, what is the way forward? Now, Paul, you are suggesting we have local community groups and things like that. Steve, we've heard your suggestions that we have this sort of education. Anorak, what's your? Have you any suggestions?
I think ultimately we all need to be in unison. We need to have unity. We all need to be on the same hymn sheet, basically, rather than falling for the divide and conquer, as Steve said earlier on. We all need to be like these marches that took place on Saturday. Would it have been nice to have seen them all just hug each other or better still, not turn up in the first place?
That's what I suggested, wasn't it?
But
yes,
we all need to come together, and it needs not just us. It needs the police on our side. They all need to remember we're all human beings, and one way or another, whatever comes down the line, it's going to affect every one of us, no whether you're in a uniform or not. And it's the biggest challenge I think we've got at the moment is trying to get us all together, and through love and positivity, and all basically singing from the same hymn sheet. I think we just need to be as one, which is what we ultimately need to be.
I agree with you.
A collective of
one. You got a fan here, Hatchy. Steve, we love you here. That's me and the dog. From the dog.
Cheers, Hatchy.
Now, DJ B2 says, that makes vegans angry. Yes, lack of meat or lack of a protein that is found. Because when I was a vegetarian, I ate eggs and I drank milk. But I'm more sort of, I know it sounds weird, but I've gone off of dairy products. I don't eat dairy products now or drink milk. Now, Barefoot Forager, she just said, oh my God, Dr. Mayhill's book is awesome. And that's going to be an incredible show. Yes. And please promote it. Please tell people. I'll repeat it again. It's on the 27th of October. She's coming on. And I'm very much looking forward to it. It's on a Monday. And what she doesn't know about health and that is not worth knowing. And she's absolutely fantastic. She's a brilliant communicator. I've seen her on videos. And now, I just get Fox says, my vegan missus don't eat me anymore.
This is a family show.
Yes. And so, Mummy, I hate Daddy's guts. We'll move them to the other side of the plate then, dear. Sorry. and was it? Bubby, can I look out the basin? No, pull the chain like everybody else.
There's a good comment here from Alice Gorgeous. She says, the police won't be on our side until the last minute. I tend to feel that that's the case. Yes. They're almost like a litmus, the final little thing. I mean, there must be scenes in movies where they all step over to the other side, don't they? Symbolically and literally, but they may well be the last ones to go. I mean, they've replaced, as we've said, many of the long-standing, more mature, seasoned officers over the last 20, 30 years with these kind of vegans, possibly, which is why
criminals.
I don't know what they're like. Yeah, they're just odd people, and they seem to have had a complete sort of personality bypass. They're just order followers, to echo Mark Passio's great thing that he did on order followers. And it's a key problem. It is about, blithely following orders. I don't know whether there's a caveat with that, which is that, if they don't follow orders in military terms, they would get shot. You have to make a choice whether you get shot, or whether you do what you're told to do. And those were hellish circumstances that they placed people into.
It makes you wonder if they'll behave like that when they go home. It makes you wonder whether they behave like that with the uniform on, and when they go back home, are they a completely different individual, or do they?
It'd be interesting to know how many of them are married with children.
Well, there's one that lives on the road.
Because if they're all loners and individuals that have been intentionally recruited because of that, they will have less care, I would assume, I might be wrong about this, for the welfare of others. When you've got a wife or when you've got a husband and you've got children, you are taught a lot of things that are not in textbooks, really great things that you can only get from that experience. And it puts you directly in contact with the fact that I want my children to thrive and I want their friends to thrive because they're important to my children. So by extension, you start to think more broadly about other people. You know, you might say, well, that's a bit simplistic, isn't it? But that's how it tends to work. You know, if you think about what you were like, say, as a teenager in your early 20s before you possibly got hooked up or whatever, it's all me, 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 me. It's a great time of life in a ways. It can be sort of a pain in the bum as well when things aren't working out for you, but it is all a bit sort of self-centric, isn't it? Then you have to live your life in great part for another person. That's a great lesson. And then I think the extension of that breeds through, you know. So people used to get married younger and have families younger, and therefore I think that's a key part of why communities, or at least my perception of them, is that in the past they were fundamentally stronger in terms of people doing their rightful duty by their neighbor. I know there's been bad neighborliness, but my experience is I didn't see much of that when I grew up as a child. It was pretty good, actually, and it's pretty good where I live. But I suspect that when people are put under pressure, which, of course, governments are intending to do, that gets harder and harder for people to actually do in the here and now. So,
well, a policeman used to live opposite me. He moved away, and I don't know why. And anyway, he moved away, and he said it was all role play. He said when he puts his uniform on, he said it's role play. It's like an act. He said, and you know, when he's got his uniform off, he's like, you know, the average bod down the road sort of thing. And he said it's just that sort of. But he was absolutely horrified the way he retired, and he's horrified the way the police was going. He said it's just no longer a police force anymore. But by the way,
and Robert Peel set it up.
Mate. Evening, mate. Nice to speak to you. And
I think when Robert Peel set up the police, Eric, there's some great little notes from him. You see, I don't know whether we need a police force or not. I wasn't alive back in the time when they actually brought one around. But what Peel wrote was that police were really just slightly more important than your regular citizen, that they should have been working together to ensure that law and order was kept, that everybody was effectively out there looking out for the good of the community, and police officers were the people that you were supposed to go to when things got a little bit out of hand that you personally couldn't deal with. And as an ethic, it doesn't seem so bad. You're talking about personal and team responsibility. You go, yeah, look, this is bad. I don't want you doing this down the road. This is not good. You're disturbing other people.
Yeah, but we're getting something like that now, because I'm sorry to chime in over you, mate, but what happened is that I think you've seen this, Steve, haven't you? There's these Hell's Angels type blokes, and very imposing. And if a woman thinks she's going to get raped or there's children in danger, their presence alone prevents something happening. They just turn up, and that's it. It's just their presence, and they know the law. They don't break the law, but they, shall we say, tell the person to go away because they have such a nice way with them, if you get what I mean. And they don't violence or anything like that, but they're just imposing. You know, I mean, you're not gonna say no. Let's put it that way. And they said that, you know, and it's like Minutemen. So a woman will phone up and say, "Look, I'm feeling a little bit stressed. I'm such a place. Okay, we'll be there." And it might be one bloke, might be several of them, but they're tough guys. And that's it.
So society is effectively, or elements of society have already demonstrated that systems can operate without our established organizations.
Right.
This group of, I forget the name of it. I think it's Shield. Is that the one you referred to?
Yeah, I think it's on your site, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, that's right. I did put an ad on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be quite honest. I know very little about them, other than they are establishing what would be qualified as the self-defense principle. These are acting with care, and none of them will be Freemasons. None of them will have a hidden agenda where they're going to profit from violating somebody's rights for money, because that's all the police are. The policy enforcers. They violate rights, and I've already established, and this is, by the way, when I say rights, this isn't coming from me. This is coming from the creator of the universe, God himself. The fundamental knowledge of human rights come from the Creator, which is any action, provided it does no harm to others. And all the, like I said, all the philosophers and wise men throughout time, all the founding fathers, all the people who established the independence in America, all of these guys, these knew this implicitly. A right is any action that does not impart harm to another living being. Therefore, pretty much anything you want to do is a right, as long as nobody gets injured in the process or harmed in the process. Everything the police do is a wrong, simply because everything that they do to another human being is an act of wrongdoing. In other words, when they put you in cuffs, they are violating you. They are kidnapping you. They apply force, which is a measure of harm. So they cannot perform their job without transgressing the natural laws of the universe. Not only that, none of them have got any implicit legitimate right in order to do that. All their rights come from acts of legislation, acts of man's law, which is all illegitimate. All of it's illegitimate. Therefore, none of it has got any place in a new world of order through natural law. So you want peace and harmony? Natural law is the process which does that, because that's God's law, not man's law. Man's law is designed to rob and violate other people for the benefit of the ruling class. Ultimately, that's what the coppers are there for. None of them know this because they are thick as mince. I've been arrested 3 times by dumbos in Freemason clown suits for absolute BS. Absolute scumbags. I've been arrested loads of times, by the way, in exercises, because I used to work with the coppers in my army role. And even then, they put you in cuffs and they think it's real life. They're that stupid. Half of them think they're arresting some violent thug when all we're doing is role-playing for some stupid bloody army police exercise. Having said that, I worked with loads of coppers, and loads of coppers were my mates. All of the lads I knew were sound, really decent blokes. But fundamentally, all of my army mates were good blokes until they started to completely lose the ability to exercise their own judgment. It's known as exercising conscience. This is what pretty much everybody who follows government is incapable of doing. We can't exercise our own conscience, so therefore we'll lose that inherent ability. That's why we've got violence in society, because coppers and government are violent by their very nature. We follow the diktats of government and the police, so therefore we subconsciously acquiesce in a violent disposition as a result. If you get rid of these, people start to establish their own inherent abilities of conscience. I hope that makes sense.
Well, yes. And Alice Gorgeous says, has this fella got a YouTube? I think you got ointment for it, haven't you? I mean, it's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Who, me?
Yeah, have you got a YouTube? Well, I don't know. I mean, is it curable? Is that I can tell one that you've got a Telegram channel, haven't you? And it's very active. I think you've got 2 Telegram channels. So plug away.
Hey, well, survive the apocalypse with Survival Steve. So if anyone wants to go down the government route and wait for the zombie apocalypse, which we're all in, then I would recommend survival stuff. But that's just for the people who don't want to become enlightened, which is achievable through following the Occult Academy, which is the other Telegram group that I'm on with Nathan Lucius. So we are one of the very few places in the whole of the UK that actually demonstrate how government are a bunch of criminals, and they'll always align to the ideologies of Satanism all the time. And that's anyone who supports government, by the way, you're a Satanist. You know, I'm just putting it out there. If you support the government in any way, shape, or form, you adhere and oblige the leading tenets of a religion called Satanism. So I don't know if that puts you off. But we prove this on our channel. We also prove how natural law works, which is essentially, again, it's nothing from me. I'm just paraphrasing the laws of creation. So if nobody wants to abide by them, well, that's why you're in a world of hurt. So if anyone wants to step out of the world of hurt, follow the principles of natural law, and
excellent.
Explain this on the Occult Academy on Telegram.
And also, Steve, Paul, you've also got a Telegram channel, haven't you? Which is and a Rumble channel. So plug away, mate.
Yeah, I do. Well, the links to all of those can be found at paulenglishlive.com. There's a link to the Telegram group, and there's a link to the Rumble channel and the YouTube channel and as many other channels as I can bolt on. Yeah, there is.
And of course, I've got a Telegram group as well. I prefer it to, I call it Ask About Facebook. I'm on Facebook, yes, but there's much more on the Telegram group than there is on the Fock and Paul one. And there's a link down below here. No, not my crutch, but down below this what you can see on the screen. So that's quite lively at times because I say I put stuff on there that I wouldn't put on Facebook. So there we are. So we're all we actually help each other, don't we? We post stuff on each other's stuff. So we'll scratch each other's backs.
It's a very incestuous relationship that's built.
Oh yes,
it's quite worrying.
Yes. And there might be a few smutty gags on there. You never know. There could be.
Oh dear.
Now,
that's surprising.
Yes, me smutty never. Now we got here. Funny how 1997. That's when old Fairy Blairy came into power, wasn't it? Is 33 years before 2030. Ooh. Yes.
But lads, if we just vote the right people into power, surely it'll all just get better. Honestly, there's some really nice people out there, and if we could just get the right people in charge of the country, I'm sure it'd all turn out great.
Well, it hasn't happened in the last 100 years, so the chances are quite
people
slim,
like me not voting that's caused all this problem. If only I'd been voting for all these years, I'm sure it'd have been completely different.
Paul, how are the right people going to get in?
I'm being completely sarcastic.
I know that.
Yeah.
But as far as like the democracy part of it, I don't think that's going to help us much at all if we don't have candidates that are worth anything.
No, you'll never. It's impossible to get the right people in because anybody that goes into politics is by immediate self-definition not the right people. They're pursuing the wrong. It's not. It's that thing, vote harder and all this other stuff. It's literally, if anybody hasn't seen it, I'm going to plug it again. Go watch Barnum World. It's a hoot. It's very entertaining and it's absolutely spot on. And I was actually looking at his comments about the Charlie Kirk thing, and they're extremely cynical and completely on the nail as usual. Like, what difference is it going to make? And it's just true. It's this. People have got to literally hit almost like rock bottom. They've got to completely say, why am I participating in this thing? This is the first thing, is to not participate. And that's the first step to actually leaving it. You've got to build a new life. I guess you build it around conversations like this and the connections that you're going to make from spaces like this. You've got to start somewhere. These are like little threads that are getting stronger all the time.
Charlie
and we
Kirk
just keep
was
working.
Being groomed to be a president someday. And his whole operation was backed by all the same usual suspects, the same people that got Trump in.
But what was a spread? A country in the Middle East, was it?
Yes, but what it was.
I wonder where that country could be. Sorry.
So, no doubt. I mean, it's there. He was there to justify the looting operation of usury and all the usual stuff. Now, the moment you turn against that and you start justifying anti-usury and all the stuff that we're standing for, you immediately become a threat. And that's why they have to take people like that out. They're useful by the plutocracy until they're no longer until they turn on them, until they start, stop justifying the looting operation that's going on. And then how else to get rid of somebody that prominent? Because he was being, like I said, he was being groomed to be the next U.S. president. That's how serious the matter was with him.
Right.
That's why they took him out, because once you turn against it, there's no longer any use for you, and in fact, you're a danger to their operation. Their whole operation is.
So he was
I mean,
Kennedy.
Look at the guy who took it over.
Kennedy, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Ben Shapiro, right? This is the guy that took over Turning Point USA.
I don't think you can call him a guy.
Well,
he's got not one masculine cell in his entire.
He wasn't a goy. Yes, he wasn't a goy. He wasn't, and he's set to take over the operation. This Turning Point USA type thing. He's the same person who, his family, when he was a little child, hosted Benjamin Netanyahu, who would have sleepovers with little Ben Shapiro. So,
well.
This is it, but it's so. The problem is it's so obvious. The level of crime that's been committed, is so obvious to most people. Most people who were all pro-Israel before this, there are a lot of people that are looking at this and like, no, that was Netanyahu, and they can't. It's going to be something to see how they wiggle out of this one, because more and more people waking up, they're going to have to resort to more and more extreme measures like this in order to distract
DJ.
People.
I'm terribly sorry. I hope you don't think I'm chumming in, but I am. Patrick, DJ Beto just said Ben Shapiro is a proven Mossad agent.
No, really. I mean,
I think they all are.
It's obvious.
They all are. They all are. Cyanim, isn't that the name? They're sort of Mossad agents on hold and can be turned on to do tasks and then disappear again into the. I think it's just. It's going to be interesting. I mean, that revelation of the method principle that Hoffman wrote so brilliantly about many decades ago seems to be part of it. I remember the bit we were talking about it last week when there's a bit in that essay where he just talks about 9/11, saying that when the people see it and then don't do anything about it, which is the case, or maybe don't know what to do, it doesn't really matter what it is, they become doubly mind enslaved because at some level they accept that they're governed by murderers. And people do. But it's not talked about. That's not comes up in the conversation. We know we are governed by liars and crooks. We haven't found a way yet to not do that. And it's probably not to confront them. It's to actually leave the system in some way by building our own space that conforms to the laws and rules that we know are right and sound, and to make that become literally like a magnet, a highly ever more escalating attractive force or principle in life, so that more people just get drawn over to it. This is really what I need to do. I can't hang around with you. It's a bit like we have to send the government to Coventry. They're sacked. You have to sack them out of your own mind. They're not in it anymore. You get no respect from me. I never gave you any anyway. But you're not getting my attention. You're not getting my money. You're not getting anything from me because everything that you do harms me. I didn't even ask for it.
Disobedience. Massive disobedience. And that's the thing. But Alice Gorgeous says, I saw Starmer speak today. He had a nasty ulcer on his lip. It's a bit like the prostitute who goes to the doctor. She said, I've got problems with my ulcer. And he said, there's no need to call me, sir. That takes a bit of thinking, that one does. Anyway.
It's over my head.
Yeah.
My mind doesn't go there sometimes, Eric.
What I was thinking, that's disgusting, that one is. I wouldn't say that if the vicar comes around, let's put it that way. And what I was going to say is,
does the vicar come round though, Eric? This is the thing. Does the vicar
tell you that, Joe?
My uncle taught his pet budgie to swear. And the vicar came and visited once, and his budgie's swearing like a troop. I love you, old bugger. You think
every house needs a budgie like that, Eric. I think.
But I think my auntie put a cover over it to shut him up. No, over the cage, I mean, not over the budgie. But what I was going to say is that this march on Saturday, I believe the Truth Movement have been brainwashed, but not from infiltration, as what happened in the past. They've been brainwashed very skillfully via controlled media. And what that march really was, the marching towards a Pied Piper. That's my belief. It's a definite Pied Piper.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
yeah.
I'm upset for you
let me try and see a positive in it, though, as well. Again, forgive me for being Ronnie Optimist. I've obviously been taking my Optimist tablets. Getting to a point of sort of apprehending and then comprehending this sort of information doesn't happen with anybody immediately. It just, not that I'm aware of, it's not like an instantaneous recognition of all problems and then the next day you're realigning your behavior. They are going in the right direction. Whether that's going to lead to anything or not, we're going to have to see. But I think they are. Just the mere fact that they were willing to go and do something, even though we can rightly say that in and of itself is not going to lead to anything, which I would agree with. But it's a step there. And who knows what they're learning today. And, if we could have got them all tuning into this show tonight, we'd have had 500,000 listeners, right? The opportunity is there. It's just a matter of creating these connective spaces where more people can connect up more easily to get into it. And I think the thing with the so-called, and when we talk about the truth movement, I think we're really talking about what's happened over COVID, this great swelling of the ranks and suddenly this blizzard of information and all this kind of stuff. I think one of the stages along that journey is where, as an individual, you go, oh, it really is down to me. You get it. I've said for years, only the hobbits are going to save themselves. It ain't going to be some grand big leader or anything. You look at that story, it's extremely useful. It's the littlest of all the guys, the ones with the least amount of power, as it were, that actually tip the whole thing, make the whole difference in the situation. And I think when it dawns on people that they need to do something, and you know what? I don't think it matters what it is that you do. I've mentioned this before. As long as you're doing something and in your thoughts, you're thinking, I'm doing this to recover the goodness in the world. I want this. I can't even tell you exactly what it is, but I know my heart's, like washing the cups at a meeting. It's no small thing. The mere fact that you start to do things in little groups and teams is amazingly powerful. It changes each individual's perception of what they're up to. You're not isolated. You're going, this counts. I do care for these people. You're reminded about that. I see that some of them intermittently might care for me. This is quite good. And I don't upset everybody all the time, etc., and it builds up.
Many hands make light work.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. We shouldn't be striving to do these great things.
I agree.
We have to start off doing little things.
And use
Absolutely.
our skills, what we need, because everybody's got unique skills in different ways. Now, Rocky Road to Love 17, that's quite a nice name, isn't it? Said a certain country in the Middle East that we're not allowed to criticise did 9/11, executed JFK and RFK, and murdered US Marines on the USS Liberty. It's hardly a stretch to suspect they're Marines on the SS Liberty. I thought it was just a spy ship. To suggest that they did Charlie Kirk as well. Yeah.
I don't know who he's talking about. I can't work that one out.
I wouldn't call it a country either, though. I'd call it a looting operation.
Yes. Now, Aunt Sally. Hello, Aunt Sally. I used to attend all those marches up until the end of 2019, and then I woke up. It's a learning curve.
Yeah, it's great. It's a learning curve. It's great. Those people that turned up on that march in a year, maybe none of them are going, but they're all doing things like this. You don't.
Yeah.
No, I think, it might be sort of really Ronnie optimistic to think. I don't think things are going to change at whatever rate they are, but if they're going in the right, I think that's the key thing that I keep coming back to in my own thinking is it's not where we are that's bad, although where we are is bad. Yeah. But it's the direction, and more people that start heading in the right direction, or what we feel broadly speaking is going towards back to the right path. That is encouraging. It makes that stage of the journey more palatable, more copable with, and you begin to build up a ball of energy and it becomes ever more attractive. Also, there's a guy in the States, a photographer and ex-military guy called Michael Yon, Y-O-N. You ever seen any of his stuff?
No.
He's quite brilliant. Lily over in the States put me onto him a couple of weeks ago. He's fantastic. He's really brilliant. And he's got some great insights into geopolitical stuff and the whole of the scam and who's really pulling the strings and all that kind of stuff. Many of the threads that we're touching upon here, but he's very knowledgeable about them, so he's a good source of things. He did a little thing after the Charlie Kirk thing, a brief one. I'll probably play it on Thursday, where he was saying, he said that the people that speak like Kirk, but many, he said, they're the ones that are taking all the risks. It's the speaking. You can see that the ideas are the things that have really got legs, because no military force can stop the spread of ideas. This is why the psychological warfare thing is absolutely key now to the whole of the thing. And therefore we are doing some good. And, you know, you got to be at times careful about what you say, but it's true. This guy got bumped off, if he did, and I know there's still speculation that he didn't, but whatever, in the public view right now, he did, because he started to say things like you were saying. He'd changed tack, like Patrick was just addressing. He was going, and I wasn't aware of that. I'd followed him, like we were talking about on Thursday, or was aware of him for many years, but never really followed him because he was just basically a younger variant of what you could hear further up the food chain. It was just the same old sort of establishment. I don't think so. But something happened to him in some, because he's
friends with Candace.
If his mind and his heart led him, he just couldn't stop. Yeah,
Paul. He was working with TPUSA with Candace Owens at a certain point, and she jumped ship from the Daily Wire and from Turning Point, and is now, you know, in a precarious situation. They're attacking her like nobody's business, and everybody, you know, there are people on Telegram, I see it all the time. Oh, she's a grifter and all this kind of stuff. Maybe but that's some grift, what she's doing. I don't think that they want her. They didn't want him going toward her, what she did, because she really went off the reservation. I follow her podcast. I have it on Holy Land Radio weekly, and I've been following it. It's like Eric says, spot on. And yeah, she's coming from a position where she was in that milieu where you're promoting the looting operation, but then you turn against them and they really hate it. And then, but for them to attack a woman,
they're losing control of their operatives and the narrative. And even if you ignore the content of what they say, the attitudinal change is the big thing. Like, they change the context if they change their tack. Suddenly, people are changing their view and disagreeing with some great colossal established narrative which they've got embedded in every public TV system going, because they control the lot. And suddenly they've allowed someone to get prominent that they thought was on their side, and they become the biggest danger simply because they've got an audience, you know, a large one, and they have influence. And it's this influence over people's thinking. Stalin said something along that, didn't he? He said, thoughts are much more powerful than weapons. We don't allow people to have guns, so why do you think we're going to let them think? I'm paraphrasing, but it's something along those lines. We don't want people thinking ideas.
It's like the Acts of the Apostles, when the apostles were out preaching, that the Pharisees feared them because of the people that they influenced. Yep. That was the message.
I've got a funny feeling that Tommy Trousers could, once he realizes he's being used, and he will be used and dumped when he's no longer needed, he might wake up to that and suddenly change tack. You never know.
And then
you don't. We don't know what we're looking at half the time. We don't. You're right, Eric.
Now,
we don't know that.
Marlene said, Daisy, is Steve doing any other venues? So, Steve, are you doing any venues?
Yeah. Steve, can I drop off if that's okay?
Certainly.
Okay.
Well, you're falling asleep, Paul. Is that what you meant?
I know, we're very boring like that.
Go on, Mike. It'll add atmosphere. We want to hear you going like that.
and we want an update on the buses. You know what? Because he's our transport minister for Fockham. So
Butler. Next time.
Okay.
Take care. All. Have a good evening.
See you.
Take care.
Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
God bless.
Thanks, mate. Bye. Now, any venues you was about to say, Steve?
Yeah, shortly actually. I think it's about the 21st. I'm down in Brighton, so I'm looking forward to that. I'll be doing a bit of a mixed bag. At
hey, are you? You look 23rd. What day is that?
21st. I think it's a Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it this Sunday? No, it's a week. It's this Sunday.
Hang on.
Actually,
next Sunday.
21st.
On the 21st.
21st.
That'll be.
Yeah, I mean this next Sunday.
Send me the details. I'm 10 miles from there. I might
Get
even
out.
risk going
Wow.
into Sodom and Gomorrah to meet you.
It's
That
at
would be tremendous.
Providence Studio, 43A. Was it Providale Place, Brighton, BN1 4GE?
Can you send that
Yeah.
over to me on Telegram, Eric, after the show at some point?
I certainly will.
Is it
It'll probably
sold
be
out?
tomorrow
Do I have
morning.
to get a ticket ahead of time, or do I bung you a tenner around the back of the bike sheds?
No,
What's going
give
on?
him a
Get a backstage
Here you are,
pass.
Steve. Here's a
Get a
tenner.
fuck
Is
bob.
that enough?
Yeah.
I'm not organising it, but hey, I don't know. I don't know how many seats.
Well,
What-
I just,
what-
I'm not,
what time is it?
I don't go through middlemen. I go straight to the source.
Oh,
Right?
well, it's
What time is it?
It's
by the way?
10:30 till probably after 6. It's an all-day thing, so it's a bit of a
Oh,
mixed
sorry.
bag.
It's morning. Oh, that's all right. Isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a mixed bag. It's all sorts of survival things, medical stuff, self-defense, even. Yeah.
Oh, it's not occult stuff. I thought it was that. Okay.
There's touches of that. But it's not purely that. But there's
Are you all Billy No Mates then? Is it just a one-man show? What's going on?
just me.
Is it?
Well, I'd like
What
to
about
think.
Nathan? Is Nathan coming and all?
I don't believe so.
Hmm.
But I mean, I'm happy to do talks with Nath. In fact, if anyone's wanting people to talk about natural law, the occult, the principles of war, which we're all facing, aspects of cognitive warfare. Again, I'm not giving away state secrets. So all the stuff I talk about is open source information. So if there's any government spies listening in, A, shame on you, you bunch of scumbags. B, if you want, I've invited the entire British Army into a boxing match. So get yourself around to the northeast, and I'll fill you all in. And C, everything I talk about is open source, so there's no state secrets given. But ultimately, the government are criminals, so F you all. The cops are all criminals, so F you all. And the only way to win is when people start growing a pair of, can you say balls on YouTube? If when people start...
You could say cojones, which is Spanish for the same thing.
Is it? Well, you know what I mean.
Cojones.
People need to grow a pair of them and start sticking... I'm going to stick all my fingers up against the beast system. So essentially, they don't exist in here. The beast system, I stuck my fingers up to that long ago. So you've got no control over me. So you can go and, go back to your dream world.
Will you be covering self-defense with a Fogham Hall wonder pencil? Or you just stick it up someone's nose, don't you? Or something like that.
What to do if someone attacks you with a Fogham Hall pencil?
Wonder pencil. Here it is. Or actually, shall I be a bit posh? There's a wonder pen now. The Fogham Hall wonder pen. Oh, here it is. See?
Oh, you're getting out of my league now. Pen. What's that? What's a
posh,
pen?
Isn't it? See? And,
I've heard about them pen things.
One uses. You pick your nose, use it as a chopstick, and use the same one.
You really should have it stuck behind your ear for the entire show, Eric.
Should do, don't I? Yeah, that's a good
it's
idea.
the pencil. Every workman's got the pencil stuck behind his ear. It's one of those great. It's what ears were built for. They were built for pencil as pencil holders. They're brilliant.
Yes. But that's good. I mean, will you be tearing up the floorboards in that place to show people how to back and build a fire?
No, it's nothing. It's nothing that crazy. Like I say, it's a bit of a mixed bag. So hopefully there's something for everybody. But I think I will be ending off with a bit of a talk on certain occult aspects. I mean, essentially, if people want to learn proper survival, I mean, I could teach you how to rub sticks together and create fires in the wilderness, but ultimately the process of survival that we need to focus our efforts on is, like I say, is understanding the principles of the occult. And I mean, I know that probably sounds wacky to a lot of people. They'll probably think, well, that's all metaphysical garbage. It's alchemy. Alchemy is the governing dynamics of how the universe functions. I mean, I mentioned in chat earlier, somebody mentioned in chat that something about alchemy, and it's the process of turning lead to gold, which indeed it is, but it's not about turning lead, the metal, into gold, another metal. It's about turning human consciousness from lead, which is basically lower based ego, which is malleable and dense and able to control and shape with, as long as you process it, and that process can manage to turn to gold, which is precious and everlasting. It's all allegory about human consciousness. It's about enlightenment. Yeah. Enlightenment is a state of freedom. Freedom starts in there, in the mind. And if we are free in the mind, the universe bends to our will. But there needs to be sufficient people of that mind state in order for that to transform. And I mean, this all sounds probably flowery, and I'd imagine if there's any Brigade 77 dorks listening, and they'll just think I'm a complete loser who's I don't know, bitter and twisted, because I left the army. But that stage on the periodic table between lead and gold is 322 divisions, and you probably all know that number, 322. We'll see it all the time in all the psyops. March the 22nd, 322. Westminster Bridge, Belgian bomb, Iraq War, shock and awe campaign, the US invasion of Libya. Just name a false flag and it's probably got the number 322 in it, simply because this is very important to the sorcerers who understand alchemy, who own us. So we are owned by sorcerers who understand the occult. If we want battle winning, and bear in mind, if you want battle winning information, I'm the man for that, because that was my bread and butter. If you want to know how to win a battle, is to understand your enemy and outwit him by having more determination, not giving up, and outsmarting him. So if we want to outsmart the enemy, we need to learn the principles that they're using against us, which is the occult. It's a no-brainer.
Yep.
Well, I think we had a 77 Brigade in last night, didn't we? One of the trolls, because it was going so fast. I think it was one of these automatic trolls, and it was just repeating itself and that. But we had one in tonight, but he went, or she, or whatever it went. So it's gone.
Was that in Rumble?
Yeah, it's in Rumble. I think. Yeah,
it was kind of fun.
Now,
I've actually been. Sorry, I've actually worked alongside them. Ultimately, like I said, 80,000 members of the army. I'm putting it out there. I'll challenge you all to a boxing scrap. I might even lose. That's how much I care. I might even lose. So there you go. There's a challenge.
Morally, you will win, though, on the moral side. And let's face it, we haven't only got 77 Brigade. We've got the Mossy people as well. We've got the Americans. We've got Uncle Tom Cobley and all. And so, this is the thing. And a lot of these trolls will say they're not human. They're just automatic. So
I was just given a message on Telegram by a fellow that goes by the handle Humpty Has Fallen. He said that the Koch brothers, who I'd posted were major funders of Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, were also funders of Mr. Tommy Robinson.
No,
really?
Yeah.
Well. And do you know
where did
GB
they get
News?
all this money from? Where did
but
they
GB News, the director. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you there, Paul. Very rude of me.
No, it's all right.
What I was going to say is
GB
News. The bloke who devised that, he was in partnership with George Soros. Just thought I'd let you know there. So.
But George is a good guy, isn't he?
Oh, he's so nice.
Oh, no, hang on. I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm thinking of George Formby. Yeah. George Soros, did you say? Is that his name?
George Soros. George Soros. I bet. Barefoot Forager, you see, you got here. Best thing I've learned from the extraordinary survival Steve is how to poo in a car. Oh, that's nice. You're not coming in my bleeding car. You're going to do that.
I don't know if I need to learn that, Steve. That's great. So Barefoot Forager has joined you in the toilet humour stakes, Eric. You've got an ally there. This is all getting quite, it's all going toilety again.
No, he's dead serious.
Irish advert they put on YouTube. Whereas this bloke sitting in the car, all he's used, he said, I do need to go. They said, "Oh, crumbs." He said, "I'm really busting." He said, "I shouldn't have had that extra coffee." So they think you need to pee. So they said, the bloke says, "Well, do it in this cup." So he said, "All right." He pulls his trousers down to have a poo in the car. They all go, "Oh no!" So you don't have to poo in a car, or you're not coming in my car either. That's interesting. But, mind you, what about travelling in your car? If you
Eric, I don't think it means that Barefoot Forager actually always does that when she's in a car.
no, Steve showed her. Steve, so you poo in people's cars too?
I'm not going to do it my own.
Oh, that's all right. I can come in your car though, so that's all right then. Yeah. You got another one. Was it Alchester on the 26th of October?
I believe so.
You've also, by the way, you won't be letting any secrets out of the old because you're the Fogham Defence Minister. You keep that a bit quiet.
I'll keep.
Where's Alcester, Steve? Where's Alcester? Where's that?
Sounds like a disease.
Oh, I think it's about 30, 40 miles south of Birmingham.
Oh, it's
Birmingham.
Yeah,
it's bloody Birmingham, look, And also, you've got this amazing show coming on the 28th of September, show 359, and it's on a Rumble radio. It's on this station.
Is that us?
That's us.
Oh,
yes,
cool.
That's it, and that's coming up on the 28th of September, and you'll be showing. Was it at a crap in a car? So that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'll do it live.
Live, yeah.
See if that passes censorship.
Well, it'd be unusual, wouldn't it? You too can crap in your car.
Would you be doing it in Eric's smart car? It won't be that smart after you've finished.
Well, it'd be a fart car then, wouldn't it?
I don't know if Bear Grylls ever taught that. Did Bear Grylls ever?
He's rubbish at that. That's why I won't watch him. He's absolutely rubbish. Where's the car bit? This is what we all say. Come on, Bear. Yeah.
Yes. This Rocky Road to Love 70 says, I would like to be stuck in a traffic jam after someone shat in the car. And Haji said, tonight's program is an inspiration. I'm now making chocolate to go with me whiskey. Cheers, Steve. That's right.
Hey, that sounds pretty good. That sounds good.
A campaign.
I don't drink whiskey though. Anybody here drink whiskey? I can't. How do you drink whiskey?
But
everybody drinks whiskey in films, don't they? And have you ever drank it?
I can't stand that stuff.
I can't stand it. Brandy, I'm fine with. But then I actually put my Napoleon hat on and think I'm invading Russia. But brandy's just great. I quite like brandy.
Come on, Survival, Steve, of course. Worth its weight in gold. I think you do them in Wales, don't you?
North Wales. Actually, that's coming up in October as well. I think it's around about the 8th.
May I ask, 8th of October, may I ask, do you get frozen up your arse when you're there? Because it's a bit cold, Wales, isn't it? Although, you know how to keep warm.
Yeah. Just do press-ups. Just do press-ups all night.
Don't sleep and just do press-ups.
Press-ups, yeah. Preferably around the fire.
Yes. That's it. And actually, you're close to where Dr. Mayhill is. She's in Wales somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she lives there. Yeah, she's not Welsh, I don't think.
Right.
But what's this now? Hachi said Bear Grylls went outward bound with Obama. I watched it on TV. No pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yes.
See, Bear Grylls, if he's a survival expert, I'd imagine he hasn't had the...
Yes.
Or, has he? I mean, and if he hasn't...
I don't think Obama's had that either.
Well, he's definitely not. I'm going to say this to Bear Grylls. I hope you're watching, mate. Bear Grylls, if you know the are bogus, why haven't you been on TV or asked all your influential mates to tell them off? Right?
Correct. Grow some Bear Grylls.
Yeah.
Grow some ghoulies. And Daisy44 says, Barefoot Forager, brilliant weekends in North Wales. Hope you're coming. That's all right, isn't it? Now, this is interesting. A sleeping system will keep you warm.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. That's
or
what
if
you
you
need.
make, or have you seen those bicycle caravans that I sent a link about? Do you think I'm still? Do you think I've had a history of mental illness while being interested?
I thought they were a good idea, personally.
Yeah, because the only trouble is you can only tow them behind with an electric. Well, you can do it with an ordinary bike, but you need an electric.
Right. Yeah.
And the trouble is power. You quickly run out of it, especially midwinter if you're in Wales.
Sure.
And there's not much light around there. But
yeah, solar isn't good for that in the winter.
Solar is a bit. But I think there was one bloke made it. He's out of polystyrene top. The base was obviously wood and that, and that would be a bit lightweight. So you might be able to do it with an ordinary cycle, but it would be the advantage is you're off the ground, you're surrounded by polystyrene. You get polystyrene poisoning, of course, from the plastic. But apart from that, you're out in the fresh air, so it's all right. And the other thing is, don't cook anything inside because it'd go up like a bleeding tinderbox, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But
yeah. And then the batteries on the bike would wear out too.
Well, yeah, they would do, yeah. But there's certain you can actually go into pubs and plug in and charge your what do you call it your batteries up and things like that. You have these boxes. What are those things called that you have power boxes or whatever they're called? Yes. But I mean, if you want to, I wouldn't eat anything in Wetherspoons. If you want to go to Wetherspoons, apparently they have power sockets all over the place. But I don't really want plastic food. Thank you very much. Now it says here, Hachi said, Bear Grylls used to be the Baden Powell of Boy Scouts, the leader. God help us, their leader. My uncle was a Scout leader.
Was he?
Yeah, and this was in the 1960s and 70s, and up until he died, he was a Scout leader. And
I liked the Scouts. That was fun when I was in that. Yeah, and the problem being is you go out into the woods and you learn all these survival skills, but then you have all these other laws that are like, oh, you can't cut down the trees to make a fort and this kind of thing. So it got to be too much of enforcing that instead of just having a good time out in the woods and learning how to thrive. And
that's it. But my uncle, you see, I've never forgotten this. He said, we need to do some design changes to the Scouts hut. He said, we can't really afford much, but he said, probably that's why he came to me. He said, do you think, we need someone sort of in architecture to do it, draw it out? I said, yeah, all right, I'll come and draw it out. So anyway, I went there and I was looking around and he said, right, this is where we park the vehicle and we do this and do that. I said, well, surely when you repair the vehicle, he went on and said, when you're in the Boy Scouts, you can light a fire. When it's raining, you do this, you do that, all these survival skills. And I said, well, you need a place, I was getting the kind of brief from him. I said, where you can put the Scouts vehicle, where you can repair it. He said, repair it? He says, they wouldn't have a clue how to repair the vehicle. And I thought, hang on a minute, surely there's more chance in life that you're going to have to repair a vehicle than light a fire in the woods. But anyway, don't the Scouts learn how to repair vehicles and,
Yeah, you think they would. I know there's a difference between the American Scouts and say like continental European scouting organizations. It seems like they're more likely to go on a long hike to some other country or something than Scouts here. I don't know. It's just it and then the whole moral stuff it got out of control when they started letting gays into the Scouts leader positions and all that. It just becomes ridiculous. And it defeats the purpose because you're supposed to be learning all of these skills, but you're also learning to improve your character, your moral character.
Instead, you're learning an agenda.
Yeah,
that agenda's creeped
money,
in
correct?
Everywhere. Yeah. Money, that's it. Steve, do you see Alex Gore just said, Steve, do you see hand-to-hand combat on the horizon for us, the ordinary people? That's a good question.
Pray not.
Yeah, I mean, hi, Alice. Yeah, I've just kind of put a little thing in the text there. I think that, I mean, I have actually responded and I said, I think there will be civil uprising of some description starting in the USA. Sorry, yeah, Patrick.
Well,
But
they're definitely provoking that.
yeah, and to be fair, you've got the Second Amendment. Whichever states have got the Second Amendment. Not only that, the mindset of people who understand that principle, when they've got the principle of self-defense firmly rooted into their consciousness, then they're more, more likely to start applying it when the screws get turned, and they're very, very justified when you realise what the criminal aspects of the various authorities have been doing, and the people who have helped perpetrate. By all means, anybody who's got the Second Amendment has got full authorization.
I'm reading a book at the moment about American identity called Walking with the Bible and a Gun. And it really goes into what it means to be an American. And it sees it as like kind of like 3 stages in our development as a country, from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War and World War II, and then our current time. But that's just it. We're all trying to define who we are as a people, and have some sort of commonality with each other, to where we're not breaking down into another war, like in those periods, which it looks like it might be coming close to one of those periods. But how do we divert?
Well, by the way, that's what Aunt Sally said. The Scouts are unisex now. My son-in-law is a Scout leader. They do a lot of girly stuff. It's not the same.
Well, that's just it. It's blending and erasing that dividing line. It's the same with education. They used to have girls' schools and boys' schools, and you learned a lot better, I think.
Well, when I got to the age when I started noticing ladies or girls, my dad took me to one side and said, "Son, remember Boy Scouts and Girl Guides." No, he didn't.
Yeah, and then you had uniforms, just like in the olden days in the schools. They had uniforms, so there's no real competition there. You don't get the gangster culture that we get.
What about the woodcraft folk? Have you heard of them? The woodcraft folk.
Woodcraft, like shop and all that kind of stuff.
Well, no, there was a breakaway unit from the Scouts in the 1920s and 30s. There's film of them on YouTube. That was more. They made their own clothing. They were more looking at heritage of our ancestors, and more, shall we say, less militaristic than the Scouts.
Yeah, well, we had the Catholics have their own version of the Catholic Scouts, and that was even
really
thing back in the day. Oh yeah, leading up into the Third Reich in Germany, they were trying to merge them into the Hitler Youth, but it never really happened. I mean, it was kind of they had all sorts of scouting organizations. The Protestants had their own, but they eventually merged into the Hitler Youth.
With these, what happened is that they became political, and eventually, I believe that they were infiltrated, and now it's very lefty, and there's not that much of them left. But they became a political organisation, the Green Movement of the 1930s, which was very different to the Green Movement of what we got now, But
well, we had our Green Movement here. We used to have the biggest iron producing place in Ashland, Wisconsin, north of me, and as a consequence of the Green Movement in the 40s, they moved toward cutting down trees to create coal for making pig iron. And now we have a national forest up there, but no industry. Now, so the Green Movement did lead to that kind of shutdown of industry too. And then same with the nuclear and alternative energy. We've gotten rid of the coal, and that's like during World War II, that's what they were attacking, were those industrial places like the Ruhr Valley. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, it's horrendous what's happening, and same here. Closed all.
But that's the alchemy stuff that turned into a real production of things, and that's some of the fun things that when you're a scout, you're learning that stuff like that, like how to make a campfire, how to tie knots, how to make the best tent, all that kind of stuff. It gives men, because you're forming men, and you want them to have those those skills and that drive to do something instead of just laying around and being like, oh, I'm depressed, I don't want to do anything, kind of mentality.
Right. But Alice Gould just says, I was expelled from the Girl Guides for asking questions. I was expelled from the Girl Guides for being a bloke. Because I wanted artificial respiration. They said, give him he's collapsed. He needs artificial respiration. I said, no, I want the real thing. Sorry. And but was you in the Boy Scouts, Paul?
Briefly, yes, I was. I was a cub for many years. I enjoyed being a cub. And then I think I was a scout for a couple of years. But all I remember from scouts was playing English bulldogs across and people going off to hospital with broken arms. Not me. I didn't get one. Because it used to be played indoors, and it was just basically an excuse for a big ruck on a hard wooden floor. But I quite liked it. It was not bad. Yeah, went camping a lot. And stuff like that. There's something about being outdoors, setting fire to things. You can't stop that. You can't beat the power of fire. Yeah.
You heard the primer stove scandal. What happened? Health and Safety said, these primer stoves are very dangerous. You've got to have the modern gas-type stoves. So the Boy Scouts threw out all their primer stoves, which run on paraffin, and you could buy primer stoves real cheaply about, 10, 20 years ago. And then they realised that the gas stoves are even more dangerous. So now, bring back the primer stoves.
Well, what kind of gas are you talking about? Like propane, like natural gas?
Well, what you got gas. The sort of
cylinders that you get.
Cylinders, yeah.
Like okay, the white gas type stuff where you can just use regular petrol. Those are good.
Well,
for camp stoves. Paraffin and that sort too.
Yeah, Primus made them. They came from Sweden. You pump them up. My dad used to pump it up. I've still got one.
We've got them. We call them Coleman stoves typically.
That's it.
They're a big manufacturer here.
Yeah, and I like them. Well, I'll tell you something.
Me too.
They sound like a jet plane taking off. They don't roar when they go.
Yeah, the big huffer sound. Yeah,
and that smell of methylated spirits, because you start them off with methylated spirits, don't you? You make a little, you catch like the meths at the top, and that heats the top up, and then you give it a bit of a pump, and off it goes. Because it's a bit of a job to start them, but no, I've still got them. I still use them, And
well, maybe we're talking about two different types of stoves, but the one I'm thinking of, it runs off. Typically, you buy at camping goods stores, and they call it white gas.
That's right. We called it Gaz, G-A-Z.
Okay.
Gas stoves. I think, I'm not sure. Do you know what it is, Paul? Is it propane gas they use in those cylinder things?
Don't know.
Have you ever used those Kelly kettles? Like they used in the war?
I've never used one, but I've seen them.
Where they're like a water jacketed type bottle, and you build the fire in the middle, and it heats up the water.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I bought one of those. The only problem is you shouldn't leave them out in the winter with water in them, otherwise they expand. You ruin them.
But they're quite expensive. I think,
and they're expensive too. And if you ruin them, it's even worse.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I've found, and I think you can get them in IKEA and in the States. There's, you probably know about this, Steve. You can get a cutlery container, okay, and it's got holes in it. It's stainless steel, and it's bloody brilliant for a fire. And you just put the sticks in there, the catch light to it, and you got a fire. The air comes in, and it's about, I don't know, £1 or something, £1.50, £2 from IKEA.
Yeah.
So there you go. You got a stove for IKEA. So, anyway, this has been a fantastic evening, isn't it? I've really enjoyed it. It's a real good one. And what's this? Alice Gorgeous is saying now, if they ever do a modern day Carry On film, they will surely want a sample of Eric's laugh. Oh, that's good. Now, we got an advert here. Advert coming up. Now, where's your advert, Steve? Well, I've lost it. Hang on. We got this one, Steve. It says, if we follow natural law, non-aggression principles, etc., and ditch the religious death cult, Govascrum, there will be less violence in society and no war. I 100% agree with you. But you were saying about I've lost where I am now. You were saying about your book and getting signing books or something. Where was it now?
Who, me?
Yeah, was it? Oh no, hang on, it wasn't you. No, it's Alex. Somebody else, I think it was. Oh dear, it's gone somewhere. I can't find it. Oh, here we are. Here we go. Steve co-authored a great book with Nathan Lucius called Fake Awake. Definitely a great read. Can't say I've ever heard of it. Yes. And also the mugs can be purchased at his talks, I believe, at a very reasonable price.
Do you sell that in the Fockham Hall bookstore?
Not yet, but I will do soon. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, cross-pollinate.
Just think, we could become the masters of the universe, us Fockham Hall lot. Imagine that. We become the new gutter scum.
Well, we could, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking of doing though. I was thinking about this, funny enough, on Saturday. You know, they have the Michelin guides and things like that for Ponzi restaurants and places to go. Well, I don't do Ponce. I cannot stand Ponce. If I'm going to eat somewhere, I want to eat in the probably my sort of level is Transport Cafe or somewhere, but we get good grub at a reasonable price. I don't want Ponzi stuff, you know, with art nouveau or art, whatever they call it on the. If I'm going to eat, I'm not going to eat a work of art. I want to eat good food, and I found one in Hertford. I went to Hertford on Saturday, so I'm going to take that. And I'm thinking of actually putting restaurants, you know, the Fockham guide. They give a little, and not only restaurants. It could be any business you want, but it has to be a family business. If it's a big chain, don't want to know. It's got to be a good, and only do good reviews. So if a place is crap, you don't give them a review. That's it. So because you mentioned a place up in Newcastle, didn't you? So I'm really seriously thinking of pushing that ahead. What do you think, Paul, about like a Fockham guide?
There's loads to do. Yes,
there is.
Fockham guide to all sorts. There's loads to do. There's the Fockham Hall Folk Festival, and there's a Fockham Hall Farting Festival, of course, which is still to be organised.
Yes.
So there's loads to do. I just think the Fockham Hall brand could be. I think everybody would start buying it. I would. I want some Fockham Hall T-shirts and things like that. Yeah. It's got legs and pencils.
Waistcoat. I was looking at steampunk waistcoats. You know, we sort of, you know, I kind of like steampunk. I think it's quite nice.
Start with Fockham Hall socks. Everybody goes through socks, don't they? Because they've only got one left. You put two in the washing machine, and only one comes out. You know, so there's that. So there's always lots of socks to be sold, and underpants. Yes, underpants would be great.
Underpants,
men's briefs, boxer shorts, Victorian styling, lots of rummage for your scrummage. So, you know, absolutely.
And Steve, you have some survival knife with Fockham Hall on the side. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming on the show tonight. It's been a really great show, and it's one of those. Yes. So, what would you like to say to the audience before we close down for the evening? So, after you, who wants to be first? So, Steve or?
Yeah, okay. If you've mentioned my name, thanks. It's nice chatting to Patrick and Paul and the other Paul earlier, yourself as well, Eric, and brilliant guests and comments as always. Some great guests, great viewers you've got there, Eric.
Thank you. And I'd just like to say I'm very proud of everybody in chat. There was just one tonight, and he went. So, but no, everybody in chat, fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm very, very. You know, in fact, we're bloody lucky to have such incredibly nice people in the chat room. I'm not being patronising, but we are. And Patrick, Paul, who wants to go first? You want to say anything before we go?
I've enjoyed it, Eric. It's been great. Steve and Paul and Patrick. Yeah, been good. Jolly Monday night show. Really enjoyed it.
What's on for Thursday?
Yes, that's an interesting one.
Thursday's 3 days away. We'll have to wait and see who gets bumped off, won't we?
No planned guest?
No, not yet, but it's only Monday. I'll start thinking about it.
Today was Battle of Britain Day. You might want to speak about that. Do you know that? I think it's the 15th. Is it Battle of Britain Day?
Is it?
Yes, but it's not quite.
I don't know. I'm feeling a bit banky the last few days. I'm feeling all banky again. If I don't talk about it every 2 weeks, I go funny. So,
and the show about Star Trek has been cancelled. So there we go.
So you're not going to boldly go where no bold man's boldly been before? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's going to come at a later date. So there we are. So that's it. But anyway, thank
Illogical.
you. Illogical. Thank you, everybody,
Captain,
for coming on the show. And what I was going to say is put your thumbs up, please. Subscribe. If you're feeling generous, there's the old buy me a coffee. And also, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.